For the team, took a bullet for the dream that we would one day all be free, free from prejudice, free from sexism, free from bigotry. I die for creativity, I die for freedom to be free. I died and left a legacy. Oh, but baby, I still live through technology. After the sun, then comes the rain. And after the storm, the sun will start shining. Like tears of pain, and tears of pain, and tears of pain. Your destiny will manifest, yes,
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Let's make sure the audio is good. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hope everybody is doing well. We got Queen Stevie in the building. What's going on, Queen? How you doing? How are you? I'm just testing real quick. Hold on, y'all. Okay, we are good. We are good. We are live, y'all. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. How you doing? 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 Hi. What's going on, y'all? It's your dude, BubzDaGawd here with yet another live. I have a little setup thing going on here. Y'all please excuse my camera. I don't know what's going on with it. It is what it is. But I hope that everybody's doing well on this Friday evening. Okay? Let me cut the music down some. Hold on. Hold on. Hold up. They don't love you like I love you. Slow down. Okay, here we go. I'm glad to have y'all here in the building. Listen. I'm going to try my best, my absolute best, to be as objective as possible. But because I have subjective experiences with this topic, a part of my perspective tonight is going to be somewhat biased. It's going to be. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's going to be somewhat biased. But again, by me sharing information publicly, by reacting to other videos and stuff like that, all I'm doing is putting information out there, and it's up to the people to decipher what they're going to believe by. Now, I will say this, just to be respectful, for the individuals who are on that platform, okay, who are ex-gay, or if you are an ex-gay individual your damn self, let me tell you something. Again, if that is what God, source, universe, consciousness has called or asked for you to do, that's what the spirit has you in alignment with, that has enhanced your life and made your life better, then by all means go ahead and do that. That's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But what you don't get to do is to paint your story over everybody else. Now, there might be some people who might say, well, BubzDaGawd, you probably gonna do the same thing. I'm learning not to judge people. I'm learning to actually operate in empathy. No shade. But at the same time, my commentary is for individuals who are on the fence about their sexuality and their spirituality. There are some people who, again, in my subjective opinion, are going to fall into the pitfalls of religiosity and trying to live a certain way to appease God when God sees and hear above all things. You can fool man, you can lie to man, but you cannot lie to God, source, universe, consciousness. You cannot. Or you can go ahead and face your fears Learn how to love yourself and heal yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Yes, there is something bigger than us that has created all of this, but we have to remind ourselves that we are divinely connected to that, and that there's nothing that we could ever do that can tear us asunder from that. So that you can learn again to love yourself, heal, become better, and manifest the partner that you desire, regardless of your sexual orientation. Okay? Now, before we get into the live, I should have had this shit pulled up. And I hate the fact I got this little shadow thing behind me. I don't know what's going on with my OBS today, but we gonna make it do what it do. Hold on. I'm trying to find the thing real quick. Give me 1 second. What Queen Stevie say? Look at that sexy leprechaun with his golden delicious melanin. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hold on, y'all. Let me get to this thing real quick. There we go. Queen Stevie says, I was telling Deshaun today what Craig and T.S. Madison talked about on their platform as it pertains to the ex-gays. Once addicted to the sausage, always addicted to the sausage. And Lord knows I need some. I love the sausage. There ain't no such thing as ex-gay. Understandable. We got King Deshaun in the building. What's going on, King? Hope all is well with you. I hate the fact that my background is not as clear as I would want it to be, whatever. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this real quick. Boom. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All the videos, songs, images, and graphics used in this live belong to their respective owners, and BubzDaGawd does not claim any right over them. Okay? Now, again, I want y'all to sound off in the comment section. I want y'all to share your thoughts, whether you agree with my commentary, whether you disagree, share it, because what I'm understanding is that even though there's going to be a lot of people who are going to still remain shackled, take the shackles off my feet so I can dance, shackled to fear, there are some individuals on both sides of the fence who are going to be able to agree on the similarities, and those are the individuals that I'm talking to. Because organized religion has already sinked its teeth and claws into a lot of these people, as you will probably see on tonight, no shade. And I'm not judging them as individuals. I'm not judging them by the content of their character, because the individuals that we're going to be reacting to, I believe, are good people. They're not mean-spirited. At least I don't believe so. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. But I'm only critiquing the ideology and, no shade, the fear aspect behind it. Because, no shade, a lot of these people who are ex-gay are saying that they're ex-gay as far as, oh, I don't do the behavior anymore, but I still have the attractions. But isn't the attraction supposed to be changed so that you can finally walk in the will of God? Let organized religion tell you. Or are the individuals who are ex-gay are just the poster childs for getting your life in order and life together, knowing and realizing that they will never be able to have the love and the romance that they truly desire? So we're going to try to look at this from a spiritual, metaphysical, and, no shade, marijuana-induced ass thing. I done dropped my shit over here. Anyway, there are going to be some people, again, who are going to watch this commentary and are going to be like, oh, you know, I don't want to deal with this. Oh, my God, he's a demon. Oh, my God, there go that gay agenda. I welcome all of that, because, unfortunately, that comes with the territory. But we're going to have a real conversation. For the people who are saying that they want to have a real conversation, well, in order for you to have a real conversation, you got to be able to have the information to have the real conversation. So, again, we're going to listen to two ex-gay men get asked serious, tough questions from a heterosexual man. And we're going to look at it through a queer perspective. Queen Stevie says, on another note, can we get into... Oh, Lord. Thank you, Queen. I appreciate it. Thank you. She also says they need to go and sit down and have a conversation with Donnie McClurkin and Andrew Caldwell, because what they're doing is definitely not working. Just walk in your truth. Just live in your light. There is so much beauty in walking in your own light and your own truth than to live a lie, because you have to tell another lie to cover up that lie and to cover up that lie. I do agree. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? All right. Now we're going to go ahead and take a listen, if you will. Please make sure y'all hit that like button. It helps this channel to grow in the algorithms. Okay, we are at 859 subscribers on the road to 1K. So I'm going to definitely need y'all help in order for that to really pop off. Okay. But anyway, fair use enacted. Let's go ahead and get into the commentary. Is y'all ready? Deshaun says, while they are ashamed of their sexuality, there's thug stripping men. Others forcing other homies to kiss as punishment. Really sick stuff. I mean, there's a lot of hazing and stuff that go on. But again, share y'all thoughts. Please make sure y'all share the live as well. Let's get the people in the room to continue these conversations. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the video.
Man, this is an honor for me. Y'all, can y'all look? This is a full circle moment. Right here to my right, I have Apostle Reginald Robinson.
Yes, sir.
Listen, you were the first interview I had that opened the doors for these types of conversations. After your conversation, I just saw the impact. I saw what God was doing. I mean, we had already planned to have a conversation, but the way that it was received helped me to realize the purpose of this channel. So
wow. Glory to God.
thank you for being here all the way from my from my hometown, Huntsville.
Represent the Lord City.
The Lord City.
The Lord City.
Yeah, just for this episode.
Yeah.
And I have also over here Pastor Zaire, Willis. Man, we didn't meet too long ago, just a couple years ago. And since then,
It wasn't years, bro.
it has to be 2023. So 2 years ago.
Oh, year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half. God has used you tremendously in my life personally. I'm just so impressed with God's hand on your life, and your story has already blown me as well as many of my audience away. Like, look, he came on here and he tore this place down. And if you have not watched either one of these brothers' episodes, make sure you do. I'm going to add the links in the description so you guys can go back and watch their stories. Will change your life. But I want to dive into this.
Let's do it.
Because there's some things that we need to talk about. I mean, I'm really grateful we have men in the room to talk about things that men don't talk about, right? We have different backgrounds, though your backgrounds, there's similarities. You guys are different men, share different experiences, and me, different experience because I have a different testimony. But I believe that God could use this conversation to bring some light and healing. So first and foremost, I want you to kind of open up this conversation in understanding homosexuality just in general. We had the conversation on your podcast about the way that we create this stigma around homosexuality. Like it is the one abomination that we have to deal with. We have to get it out of the church. We got to, Jesus wants to save men from the homosexual spirit, and then everything's going to be all right. I want to deal with homosexuality with clear lenses so that we could have this conversation rightly.
Absolutely. Homosexuality is not a new sin. It's been around. Homosexuality is a sin expression, is what I call it. So I like to say we have sin, sins, and iniquity. So sin is the slave master of sin that entered into humanity when Adam fell. And then you have...
So like the root of a tree, okay?
Have sins, which are the expressions of that sin nature.
So then then those are the branches of the tree, okay?
They vary. And then you have iniquity, which are patterns of sin that are passed down.
And that would be like the leaves. Okay.
So an example of this would be Adam. His sin was eating of the fruit. But then he has two sons, And Cain's sin is murder. Adam never murdered anyone, but Cain did. So that gives us an idea or a picture of how sins have different or varying expressions. Homosexuality is a sin expression, just like any other sin. I don't know how we got to the point where homosexuality has become so, stigmatized and where it has become the capital sin throughout history. I'm not sure how that happened, but some way homosexuality has become a capital sin and a taboo sin among all sins.
I want to dive into that specifically because let's just be straight up honest. I want to ask you a question. I need you to answer honestly.
Okay.
Is the church homophobic?
Yes. Yes. The church, unfortunately, is very homophobic. See, people think that in order for you to be homophobic, you have to be completely overt in your homophobia. But there is something known as covert homophobia. And as an individual who was once in organized religion, who is no longer there, I've experienced firsthand queerphobic experiences. I witnessed firsthand queerphobic experiences against other queer people who also were playing the game, who also had girlfriends, who also had wives, who was trying to sleep with me. So yes, the homophobia is heavy in the black church, and not only that, it is so heavy that there are queer people in the queer church who are queerphobic to other queer people, i.e. William McCrae, Methuselah, the 1000th.
At large.
No.
No.
I don't think the church is homophobic. Because, the church is to the place where many people look at and say that's where all the homosexuals are. I don't think it's homophobic. I just think the church, we just had a episode on this where we talked about, applauding the church for being a haven and a safe space for men and women who deal with same-sex attraction. I just think the church might not have had the knowledge or the tools necessary to help to walk people through.
Still don't.
So we knew that, we knew that, Jimmy and John weren't just roommates, right? We knew the choir director. We knew these things, but we just kind of provided a safe space, safe haven for them when they couldn't go anywhere else, but never really truly discipled, which is an overall issue. But primarily we see it in the homosexual community. So
now, to his point, what he says, and yes, I'm going to be pausing. This part one. So I'm going to try to keep this under 3 hours. I really am. I promise. I'm going to try my best. But to his point, what he was saying about church being not a queerphobic space, or it just being a space where it's safe for queer people, of all people, queer people. Christ walked with everybody, so we're going to walk with him too. And the reason why he said it is because, again, where there's a lot of where the queer people are, and no shade. I believe it, especially the Kojic church. I have a friend of mine who used to sing background for a lot of the gospel singers that would visit those churches, especially at those conventions. And baby, he told me it's sissy land. To the point to where I'm like, well, maybe I need to go to church. You know what I'm saying? Because let's not act like women don't go to church to find a husband, to find a man. They want to get God attention, so God be like, give her one. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And no shade. I'm an individual who walking in my truth. I'm not bound by the confines of organized religion as far as the mentality and shit is concerned. So no shade. I'm a free individual. Okay? I already said I want to before I get in a relationship because I'm single and I'm abstinent from sex. But if the opportunity comes by where it's a motherfucker from the Kojic church that is slim, thick, in all the right places, then yes, we can see what's going on. I'll give it a try and see. But I'm human and I can admit that. The reason why churches are queerphobic is because it's like you're welcoming the queer people in. And the queer people are not even being overtly queer. Because a lot of people who go to church that are queer, you don't really know that they're queer. They try their best to hide it. But again, you all up in everybody else's business. Oh, we know that so-and-so and so-and-so, they wasn't just roommates. How you know? Why are you paying such grand attention to this? Oh, we know the choir director and the organ player, we know that he get. Why are you paying attention to all of this? Like, why? But then you say, oh, well, we bring them into the church, but we've never had the tools to help walk them through. Then why give them or offer them something that you know that you couldn't really fulfill? So again, in those spaces that are safe, that space is still telling you covertly in a very nice way that, hey, there's still something wrong with you. You're still abnormal. You still have sin nature. You still have the residue of the sin on you. And until that residue is gone, you are not fully clean, which is why you have ex-gay people who get up there and tell you that the God that can do all things and everything but fail is telling you that the attractions will always be there. The desires will always be there. It's about whether you act upon those desires. But those desires are innately in you, because if it was something to be removed, then guess what? It would have been removed. But you have individuals like Jackie Hill Perry who has been honest, and I appreciate her for saying that even though she is delivered, she still struggles with same-sex attraction. These men are going to talk about how you're going to have the attraction, but you have to fight that desire. And we can get into the conversation about desire, because I think that's where all the mess is at, all of the convoluting bullshit is at. If you add, I hope I said that word in the right context, but you know what I mean. I think that's the area where everything is very murky. So let's really work that out. What's up, Boy Crazy? We got Boy Crazy in the building. What's going on? Queen Stevie says, well, God, I have sinned for looking at. Thank you, Queen. I really appreciate it. I'm trying. Okay, I put on a little bit of weight. I'm trying to get myself together. You know what I'm saying? But I try, thank you. And even me, I struggle with body dysmorphia. So there are things in my life that I'm still working on, but I have to learn to love myself through it. And guess what? As I learn to love myself through it, I will manifest someone in my life who will love me, not lust after me, but love me with passion. Do you get what I'm telling you, what I'm trying to tell you? Queen Stevie says, what you resist will always persist. So we can try to fight it, but we still will have these urges. And Madison said it best, a man will sleep with a rock. But I will tell you this, if a man or a human being learns to love themselves and value themselves and honor themselves, and first of all, escape the confines of organized religion, meaning that tapping into a personal relationship with your creator, also understanding how energy works and how sexual energy, which has been, as the word they'll use, perverted or contorted in a way to hurt people or to give or to allow them or allow people to open themselves up to energies that are low vibrational. If you were aware of sexual energy, you will be able to use it in a way that can help heal, help make things alive. Do you get what I'm saying? Two pieces coming together as one. And no shade, when you manifest someone in your life that loves you for who you are, fuck how you look, fuck what you have, fuck all the material stuff that a lot of people, especially in organized religion, will say that you have to manifest this in order to be seen by God or to be connected to God. But someone who loves you for who you are when you're going through life's ups and downs and trials and tribulations, that's what you deserve. And it's very, very sad that there are some people who are literally going to cut themselves out of their own blessings. But hey, that's their life. Let's continue.
So in light of that question.
Oh, that's what I was saying. I'm sorry, y'all. I had lost my thought. When you start loving you, and I promise we're done. Welcome to BubzDaGawd. If you've never been here, this is what happens. When you love yourself and you honor yourself and you know the energy that you walk into and you manifest that individual in your life who's really about it, you're going to think not twice, but thrice. Okay? You're going to think 3 times before you think about cheating, before you think about putting your hands on that person, before you think about harming that person mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You will check your damn self, because even though there's a lot of horrible shit going on and divorces and breakups and all that type of messy ass shit, there are also people who are living their best lives romantically with their partner. And hell, in some cases, partners, because there are some people, I believe they have the capability to love more than just one person. Like, we sit here and we limit God. We say that God, source, universe, consciousness can do all things, but yet limit and demonize the things that it is allowing to happen in this reality. And if you're willing to sleep with a damn rock, you definitely need to go seek some therapy. How do you even get off on sleeping with a rock?
Is it
He's
really
my
a safe
rock.
space? When you say a safe space, I gotta dive deeper.
Oh, yeah.
Church has provided a safe space
listen.
for people who struggle in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Can you define safe space? What
Yeah.
from what lenses would you say the church was a safe space? Because according to scripture, if I'm telling you that you're safe here in your sin, then I'm really saying that this is a safe grave. So what do you mean by safe space?
I look at the church like I look at the pool of Bethesda. The Bible
Before you get
says
into that, did y'all hear
there
that? That literally just reiterated what I said earlier about, because you are same gender loving and they're operating from their perspective, which is a fear-based one, that if you come into this space, you need to come into this space with the intention to change, and not change in the areas where it matters. For example, if you're talking about people out here that's being promiscuous, why are they being promiscuous? There is a reason why. Is there something there that's lacking mentally and emotionally? Are these individuals trying to feel something? Are these individuals trying to feel numb? Let's really have those conversations to get to the human aspect. But it's hard to tap into the human aspect when the King James is blinding. So again, when the individual said safe space, which is the purpose, it's supposed to be a space that's safe for people to be open, to be honest, to be willing to share aspects of their life and the trauma in their life in a community that's willing to love them through it, energetically, physically, mentally, emotionally, and most importantly, spiritually. But imagine that place telling you that you still have to change because there's still something wrong with you. Even though you are fearfully and wonderfully made, there's still something wrong with you. It's very interesting. But anyway, let's continue, y'all, because he's basically letting y'all homosexuals know that still go to church and shit like that y'all in safe graves. And it's funny he said that because Christian nationalism wouldn't mind putting the queer people in graves. Fuck if they were safe or not.
multitudes of impotent folks there. And they all went because the water was there. And once a year, that water would be troubled, and whoever jumped in was healed. They all went for healing, but sometimes people get distracted. And so they get there and they got to wait. You know, let's say the year's 365 days. Now you got to wait 364 more days. There's a multitude of people there. So what do? You build community. Cultivate relationships. You know, you build houses there. You become common in this place. And so impotence became a common thing there.
Okay.
And so likewise with certain sins that we have when we go into the church, many of us, we go looking for something, but we don't find it. So we stay there and we build relationships there.
Wow.
Sometimes those relationships are perverted relationships, you know? So that's what I believe really happens in the church. I don't believe that the church has intentionally been made a place where people come and they are, perverted or turned out. Yes, it happens, but
You say the church is not celebrating this lifestyle at large.
No. I don't believe. But see, when you say the church, man, it's broad.
It's a lot.
Because now
It's a lot
you
of
got the
churches.
affirming churches, you got the traditional churches, right? And then you got the churches where, just a lot of gay people go and just nobody say anything about it.
Gotcha.
Don't talk about it at all. They just say, "Hey, come sing." And I think a part of that is great, because if there wasn't for the church for many people, such as myself, all you had to go to was something that was affirming or another community. So we needed, at least, even if the church did not give us the tools necessary or didn't know how to teach us to disciple us, it still was kind of like that space in between. Now, do people find the grave and die there? Absolutely. But I'm grateful to God that he was able to journey me, that I could have the church long enough to be a space of grace until he was able to journey me, to where I am now. Yeah.
I'm about to.
Okay. Now, again, shout out to him and his story, because, again, it's valid. I'm not sitting here to invalidate his story. Okay? I'm grateful that he, again, going off what he's saying, is a better life. Now, again, with that pool, I'm glad that we live in an era now to where those people back then who had to wait and may skip out on a blessing, you can turn on BET at 4 o'clock in the morning, I still think, and get a man that will sell you that water from the pool for $19.95. Hey, and that's shipping and handling, because the real price is $99.99. Because Jesus got to pay his rent, and he needs y'all to pay it for him. So I can understand that aspect. The fact that, let me go ahead and change the screens. I think when I do these things, when I sit there and I think about how he said that the church has become an affirming space, or a place where it's become very quiet to call out sins, that is the area in which they're messing up at. I mean, we can take a look at when Kim Burrell, I believe last year, at a gospel awards show, publicly apologized to the queer community. And when she did that, girl, where's my music? Where is my music? Girl, that's not the music I want. Where is my, did I put it in here? Oh, okay. Here we go. My bad, y'all, I was cut off. But, oh, it's gonna make me lose my thought, and I hate when that happens. Welcome to BubzDaGawd, y'all. We for real. We ain't pretty over here. We're real, we're raw, and we're in the moment. That's the point. We have to be in the moment. That's where the healings happen. That's where the miracles happen. That's where the awareness happens, in the moment. But again, going back with him saying that the church has created a safe space to the point to where, like I said, Kim Burrell ass even got up there and said, girl, when she was halfway put together, I apologize to the queer community. There were a lot of people in the black church, particularly, who had a problem and an issue with it. I mean, have we not forgotten when Ty Tribbett first came out with Victory? I got the victory. There was a part at the end where he was talking about coming out of all these sins, come out of homosexuality, let's go. And then he had to change that. Now, for some of these people who live vicariously through the Bible, they're going to feel some type of way about that. But when you start actually operating in what is known as your Christ energy, or the one thing that a lot of Christian nationalists are calling for Christian people to stop doing, which is empathy and being empathic. And sometimes I'd be like, I don't even know why I'm wasting my time trying to explain this, because these individuals are going to use this book to justify their fears. And that's the problem and the issue. That's the problem and the issue. Y'all don't even sit down and get to know queer people long enough and know their character before you start pulling out the Bible. And guess what? I don't even have to get to know anybody for them to throw scriptures at us, at people like me. Depending on how many people watch this video, I might get some in the comment section. And what's so funny is that when I tag these people are afraid to have the conversation for real. Because again, even in this context, and I've seen it on other red pill platforms, they love having conversations with people who are no longer those things to try to have a safe way of having the conversation in which they can control the narrative. That's not Christ. That's not Christ. That's really antichrist. And the church has been very antichrist to queer people. Because just like he stated, oh, well, you have many different churches now. You have the traditional church. You have those affirming churches. And again, there are Christians going to affirming churches now and singing songs of warfare outside of their building, or showing up to their church while they're having a choir rehearsal, a praise team rehearsal, telling them to repent or perish. And don't get mad at me because that's what the word says. I wish the church was a loving and affirming space for queer people, to the point to where if queer people wanted to bring their partners to church, that they would be able to have the right and the freedom to do so without you feeling like you're going to go to hell if you don't say something. Like, ooh, this is the opportune time for God to see me, so let me go ahead and call this person out. So as much as these individuals are trying to like soften the blow or the trauma that the church has caused a lot of people, in particular this context of the conversation, queer people, I give you an A for effort, but that's why this is public conversation. This is a public platform for people to speak and say their piece. And maybe if the church did that, was more really loving and affirming, to where it's like, look, I'm more so worried about my feet not hitting the fire. So whatever you got going on is between you and God, and ain't got nothing to do with me. As long as you ain't trying to do it with me or anyone or my damn partner, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I'm cool. I'm still going to love you. I'm going to uphold the highest commandment that Christ has asked me to do, which is to love the Lord your God with all of who you are, including loving yourself, because you are fearfully, wonderfully made in the image, and to treat other people the same way. Because when you go to heaven, I'm not going to stand there with you, pimping. And when you are standing before the King, in reference again to the context of Christianity, I'm not going to be there with you. You got to be there, pimping. I got to be there on my own stuff. But all I'm going to do is just love you and actually build community and actually walk in the element of Christ, because Christ knew how societally tax collectors acted, and the narrative around prostitutes and the narrative around these dredges of society. But Christ still said, okay, let me go see for myself. And it's so funny that Christ was able to do miracles and real wonders in places and spaces that the church to this day struggles to manifest. No shade. Queen Stevie says, I'm sure that the other ones on the other platform would love to have a conversation with them. Of course. And I hope they do. Because again, I'm just going to be listening, because at this point, I'm listening to what come out of people's mouths. That's another reason why I like that I stutter. That's another reason why I like that I sometimes lose my thoughts, because that's probably the universe helping my ass to realize, think before you say certain things. Because sometimes if I could just say what it really be in my head, as far as my intrusive thoughts, being an individual who speaks fluent sarcasm and has a very dark sense of humor, some of us had to laugh through the pain, pimping. It's like, I got to really stop myself. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's get back to conversation. Continue.
You know, I got the questions. I got some questions on deck. So, So homosexuality is nuanced in that it's one of the few sins that many people can wear and say, this is me, this is my identity, this is who I am. You guys have both collaborated to walk men through these struggles. Let's just even talk about the language that we use. Homosexuality is a struggle. You're walking men through and potentially out of homosexuality. How do you have these conversations, being people that have come out of this lifestyle where there's enough grace to have the conversation, but enough truth to let them know where you stand. Because that's one question, I guess, that it leads to. How do you deal with the tension of, you guys have a different heart for these men, different heart for people that navigate through the struggle, yet you're clinging on to the word in a way that does not celebrate, it does not affirm that lifestyle. How are you able to do that?
Well, before they answer, I'll answer. Simply this. It's so easy and it's so simple. All you have to really do is just say, hey, look, because of my own personal stance on certain things, I don't agree with it. And I mean, I don't agree with it for my life. For me, I don't agree. For me, I'm not about to do some homosexual shit. I'm just not. But if that is who you are, I'm not going to treat you like a leper. I'm not going to sit up here and push and force my narrative, since y'all say that much about, say that happens with the queer people doing that to y'all. I'm not going to push my narrative onto you. And I'm going to respect you as a fucking human being. And most importantly, I'm going to walk in my own security, that knowing that if I operate in love, the one thing that organized religion sells but doesn't know how to really sell, okay, in a way that's real, I'm going to go ahead and walk in that because I know who I am. Just like how Christ walked in what he knew because he knew who he was. Correct? You can do the same thing. And y'all can move on with your life. You ain't got to go to the gay wedding. There are some people who are gonna be like, okay, cool, that's just how they are. We'll invite them to certain functions. I still mess with them, they cool. There are gonna be some people who are gonna cut you off. It is what it is. I think both parties and both sides have to realize that when you stand in your truth, you're gonna lose some shit. You're not gonna be able to keep everything. And sometimes that means losing family members, friends, loved ones. But whatever you lose, God, source, universe, consciousness will always send you something that is equal or greater to whatever it is that you lost. A wise mystic once said this. They say that blood is thicker than water, but you know what's thicker than blood? Love. Love. Queen Stevie says, lifestyle refers to the unique way a person, group, or culture lives, encompassing their habits, values, interests, and behaviors. It's a combination of both tangible and intangible factors. Yes, but what they think of in reference to the homosexual lifestyle is the sex part of it. Because I am a homosexual that is abstaining from sex and have abstained for sex for a while, had very long spans of that by choice, mind you. I'm not the most attractive person on earth, and I'm not trying to be. God bless them, because they're going to have a hard-ass life. But I'm not ugly. I know that. So with that being said, even though I'm not out here slanging dick around, I'm still loving myself and honoring myself so that when and if, because I don't know what's in the cards for me, but if my partner comes along, I'll be able to appreciate them and love them. And love them in such a strong way that it don't matter what other people think about us. As long as you don't try to put your hands on nobody or try to whoop nobody's ass, we ain't got no problems. Queen Stevie says a lifestyle is, I love to get massages, bikini waxes, leg waxes, get my hair and nails done and pamper myself, and then go shopping and out to eat. That is a lifestyle. So am I an inactive homosexual? Am I a non-practicing homosexual? Because just like these men on the screen, girl, I may not be out here having sex, even though I will when the time is right. No weapon. Shout out to T.S. Madison. No weapon. Shout out to her with that run. Okay? But just because I'm not having the sex does not mean that I'm not thinking about it, because doesn't it say, and some people are going to say, oh, that's a cop-out. It's in the book. It's in the book. So a man thinketh, so he is. And that is true. Before any action can happen, it starts off as a thought. You got to be able to touch and agree with yourself on whether you're going to touch and agree with somebody else outside of you. But it starts off with a thought. It'd be a few individuals in my head that, no shade, I do be having intimate thoughts about. Well, some people say, oh, well, that's lustful. Lustful is, I don't give a fuck about you. I'm treating you like trash. I'm just going to get what I'm getting from you. You can't give me nothing. That is what lust is. Lust is a temporal thing. It is something that is shallow. It is something that is base nature and is not fruitful and life-bringing and life-giving in the experience itself. But you can love somebody with passion, which is life-bringing and life-affirming. And yes, whether it's queer or whether it's hetero, it is still the same because it's between two consensual human beings. And to be honest, on both sides of the fence, on both spectrums of humanity, there needs to be more information about how to have sex consciously. I'm not talking about the lust-filled pornography way that is a fucking fantasy that is not real. It is something that appeases your fantasies. But to have actual healthy sexual experiences, because I don't give a damn. Sex is not solely to bring life into this world. Because if that was the case, there would be no foster care rate like it is today. Because people would actually value the children. But sex, as we can see on a grander scale, is about pleasure. And when we learn about it from a spiritual, esoteric type of way, it can be used as a way to transmute the energy. The sexual energy is the strongest energy that resides in this universe. We have to learn how to wield that in a conscious way. And we don't know how to do that, especially gay men. Let me clock the gays real quick. Yes, there's a lot of promiscuity in the queer community. Reason being is because, you know what, let me stop because we got to get into the video. Y'all know how I get down on BubzDaGawd. Please make sure you hit that like button. Okay, we at 859 on the road to 1K. Make sure y'all share, okay? If it's anything that I say in this commentary, make sure you screen record it. Hell, if you want to respond to it, I give you free permission to do so. Let's have the conversation. Put it out there. And most importantly, if you want to hit a nigga up in the Cash App, you definitely can. $ BubzDaGawd. Everything is in the description box below. I can't, look at my phone right now because I'm using it as a webcam. But anyway, let's continue with the commentary and let's hear their thoughts about that. How can you coincide with queer people and still get your dig in to be like, Lord, at least I tried, girl? Because homosexuality, I know I got this in the bag. I know I'm about to get a check mark on my I'm going to heaven card, girl, because that's one of the cardinal sins, as I said earlier. What are the cardinal sins? Yes, unfortunately, organized religion needs cardinal sins. They need it. It's a sin culture. It's a sin mindset. And if you still operate in sin mindset, then I guess Christ died for nothing. But I ain't say that. That's what y'all say.
Yeah, man, I think one thing that we've seen is a lot of them that we've journeyed, they've known that at least a part of this lifestyle isn't right. So we haven't had to do a lot of fighting to get them to understand or believe it, because when they came to us, they came with a inward battle already. Like, hey, I'm living here. Something about it just isn't right. Now we do have somebody in this current cohort who just got saved and who told us, like, I don't even really know what I believe yet.
Wait, you keep mentioning this cohort. You got to introduce it before we move any further. What's this cohort? What are you talking about?
So Apostle and I founded the organization Brand New You that was designed to help men who struggle with same-sex attraction or sexual morality find community, have courageous conversations, and journey to discover their identity in Christ. And so what we do is currently we are running cohorts, which take 25 men per cohort. And we put them through an 8-week mentorship intensive that's designed to give them the tools, the language, and everything they need to discover and to journey with Christ. So when we're talking about cohorts and the mentorship intensive, we're talking about Brand New You.
That sounds fire. Okay. So we're going to put that information in the description and talk about it a little bit later. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So we have a guy who just joined and said, hey, I just kind of got saved. I don't even know what I believe yet, but something is telling me that something isn't right. And so the first lesson we teach our guys is called, Is It a Sin? and we walk them through scripture. There's 5 scriptures in the Bible that talk about homosexuality. All of those scriptures talk about homosexuality in a condemning way, saying that it's not right. So
Can we
said,
dig into that a little bit? I'm sorry to throw you off. I want to know about what you guys are talking to these men about.
Yeah, so we found that there's 5 scriptures that talk about homosexuality in the Bible. 2 of them are in Leviticus, where it says that if a man lays with a man as he does with a woman, it's detestable. There are 3 in the New Testament, 1 in Romans, 1 in 1 Corinthians, and 1 in 1 Timothy. All of them are just talking about saying that homosexuality is wrong. There are consequences for homosexual acts. And this is where we get into that conversation, like you mentioned, about identity. Homosexuality is one of the only sins that men feel like they have to wear as an identity, that they have to take on the label, take on the language, take on the lifestyle, when in our biblical research we found that there's a difference between same-sex attraction and homosexual acts. The Bible condemns homosexual acts, not same-sex attraction.
Somebody will.
Wow. So now there's an evolution in the theory of theology that I was not aware of. Interesting. In our biblical research, we discovered that there's a difference between same-sex attraction and same-sex acts. And God is saying, according to King James, do not do the acts. That is the thing that is despicable. That is the thing that is detestable. That is the thing that will get you hucked up in this mud. Queer people, I don't know what I have to keep telling y'all. These individuals are trying to force you back into the closet. The reason why the queer community has so much pride, as they would call it, is because, again, even in the black community, as soon as my sexuality is discovered, I'm no longer really black, because I'm operating in something known as European. That's another thing in the black community that we don't really talk about, that's a white man's thing. Because look what happened with slavery and buck breaking and all of that. So you're dealing with, this perspective and this interpretation from the church, and then you're dealing with it from the black community in reference to our ancestryhood, if you will. And it's all negative all the time. First of all, that probably explains why these people come in and say, oh, well, I don't know what I believe, but I do know that something is wrong, because no matter where you are in the culture, there is queer phobia there. And again, the issue that queer people have with this is the fact that y'all make our sex life the main focus, because as soon as I say that I am gay, y'all in your minds automatically start going to this whole situation here. Y'all start going to this whole situation here of swinging and touching and sort. Y'all go there. And that's the only thing that y'all think about when it comes down to queer people. Y'all highlight the fact that it's because there are queer people who are out here having sex with the same sex. That is the problem, and that is the issue that y'all want changed. But we know that is not the case, because we've already seen, so we're talking about history and information, that there are plenty of individuals who were ex-gay who then had women pushed onto them to marry them, because now this is how you completely fulfill what God has for you. Now, when we get into the identity aspect, I would love for queer people to be more than their sexuality, because I am more than that. I have literally been on panels, on red pill spaces, been invited to with different people to have different conversations. And because I am queer, that is the main thing, just the sex part and the sex part. But it's not just the sex part. It's also about the possibilities of what this homosexual person can do, because there is this gay agenda and it's being spread about. And it's so infectious that the children will get it. Because the children, you have to protect the children from this. So it's all these other narratives that are being thrown into the mix as well. And like I told queer people, if this is the route that we're going down in reference to organized religion and it being a Christian nation, then queer people, y'all gonna have to learn how to also defend yourself with the book. Because according to them, they only got 5 verses to use against the queer people. Imagine how many verses they have. So if we're going to play this game, baby, the queer people could never. Let's get back to the video, y'all.
Argue with you on that one.
I'm sure they would. So in the New Testament, there are 2 words that describe homosexuality. The first one is arsenokoitai. That means man who bed with man. The second one is malekos, which means soft or feminine. Arsenokoitai is a word that Paul created to describe the act of homosexuality. If you look at 1 Corinthians, I believe it's 6, 9 through 10, where it's mentioned, if you read the King James Version and the ESV version, it says homosexual acts, those who practice homosexual acts. So the word homosexuality, which means same-sex attraction, isn't in the Bible. It's arsenokoitai, which is
not Deshaun over here proving their damn point, talking about right, sexy leprechaun, he needs sex oil on him. Let me do this for Deshaun real quick so I can have him laughing and having the chair whoop his ass real quick. Hold on.
See, my man. Girl, my man, girl. See, my man. He don't be fucking with y'all punks like that, cause see, he ex-gay. My man ex-gay, okay? He don't do that shit no more, cause see, my man. Oh, he used to like dick, but he don't like that shit no more. You know what I'm saying? And Lord forgive me for saying shit, girl, but I mean, damn. Cause see, my man. Let me stop.
Let me stop being stupid. Okay. Let's continue. Okay, let's continue. I just had to say that real quick because I'm like, Deshaun, here the hell you go.
a verb, which means men who bed other men. Homosexuality or same-sex attraction is a temptation just like any other temptation. Just like people may be tempted to drink, people may be tempted to curse, people may be tempted to lie and to steal. Homosexuality or same-sex attraction is just a temptation. Nobody else in this world has to walk around wearing the label of their temptation, but those who struggle with homosexuality.
I want to talk about this because I guess because we've taken such an extreme perspective about homosexuality, one wouldn't consider themselves delivered until the taste, the desire, that perspective is completely deleted from you. But that's not the case with any other sin.
Not the case at all, bro.
If I'm lustful, right, towards women, I want God to help me with that lust. I go to him to help me with that lust. But I don't end up expecting that once I walk out into this world 10 years from now, I will not have any attraction towards women.
Absolutely.
But then at the same time about lust, what happens when you're trying to find your wife and you still operating with that spirit of lust? Then that means you have to challenge yourself, which I do agree with. You have to challenge yourself in some of those urges that you might have. And again, as men, we are hypersexualized, bro. Like, we all think about sex. That's how it's been conditioned in our mind. I don't give a damn. And let's be real, Christian people think about sex more than the average human being. Okay? I heard a pastor say one time that was so true. It's two things that are taboo in the church. That's sex and money. And let's be real, we all want some. So let's talk about that. But then again, to his point, if I'm struggling with lust and I go out to the world and all things are lustful, you have to ask yourself, what is it that's making you lustful? You got to start having internal conversations with the God in you to identify what those things are so that you don't end up missing out on, if you're heterosexual and you're looking for a wife, you won't miss out on your queen. Because the pimp in you just died. D.O.D. is highlighted over the D.O.G. Shout out to Queen Drip, Alyssa K. Tyler, shout out to her. But that has died in you to where now at this point, you recognize what is real. And then that's when you can manifest the partner that you desire, and not only manifest them, but honor them and maintain that. That same thing can happen with queer people as well. And it has happened with queer people as well. Because if God, source universe consciousness, did not want this and hated this thing and it was so it was so detestable and just so heinous, okay, and erroneous, and all these other words, girl, these us's, okay? God has no problem removing anything that it don't want, but the fact that it has allowed it to be here must mean something. So yes, the fact that now these individuals who can admit that they have been looking at homosexuality from the extreme this entire time, which thank you for saying that, because all you did was prove us right, at least in that context. But now that you're willing to try to delve deeper and understand it in a more human type of way, you need to also have conversations with queer people who know who they are and love themselves, who are different than you. Because Christ realized that things are unique as far as their expressions, but they're not special because they all come from the same thing. And again, the fact that there are people out there who call themselves Christians who struggle with love because you afraid of what's going to happen to you if you don't tell these people what they... Let God work that out, because all men must work out their what? Own soul salvation. Make sure you work on yours and maintain yours. Because Christ said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, which also means that when you sit up here and you judge other people, you can't get mad when you get judged back. And you can't tell another person. You can't hit a person and then get mad when they hit you back harder. Just don't hit no damn body. But anyway, let me get the comment. Deshaun said, it ain't you not being attracted to women because of lust. You need to be loyal to one woman. But again, the individuals are struggling with lust. They're struggling with being committed to one female. And that's why I said if people were to love themselves, there are some men out there, some women out there that have the ability to love more than just one person. And when you look at all these kings and stuff, especially in the Bible, they had a harem of hoes. They had a harem of women. I mean, that's in the book. Anyway, let's continue.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I just hate that's become a thing when it comes to, homosexuality. And that's one thing that we help them to unlearn, to detach from, because, as long as we live, we'll be tempted. Temptation will be here. And so if I identify by my temptation, I'll never feel that I'm delivered. But it is when I submit the temptation to God, just like any other temptation.
But let's talk about that a little bit further. You also have these individuals who want to be rid of the temptation, because the temptation and the intense attraction to the temptation that is not going away starts to act out in other ways in your body. You sit up here and you don't have any sort of release, your body will release for you. That's just a part of human nature. So when it comes down to homosexuality, you're having these individuals believe that their attraction to the same sex is an addiction. It's like something they fucking picked up. At least with alcohol, you can drink that mug and get into it and become an alcoholic. And other things. Maybe we could talk about being addicted to sex, whether it's hetero or queer. But for people to be taught that their sexual attraction is an addiction and is something that you have to fight every day. It's like you're pushing a boulder up a hill and the hill has like a treadmill on it, so you're really just stuck in one place. I mean, look at Donnie McClurkin, who again been serving the Lord faithfully for all these decades, who recently came out and said, hey, you know what? The Lord would never give me the family that I desire. But this is God we're talking about, who has done miraculous things. What about the three boys and the three Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace? They didn't get burnt up. They felt the heat, but they came out unscathed. So again, we're talking about a book that has all these miraculous things that happen that will change your life, that make you want to give your life to this deity, to this energy. But yet the people who are saying that this can happen are struggling to where they're just saying, well, hell, this is what we want you to do, basically. Go back in the closet. You can be gay, but be gay in the closet. Don't say nothing. That is what it literally is. Because if people can't get rid of that taste and that desire, and that Christ missed the spot when he died on Calvary, then what organized religion and what I'm interpreting it is being said is that, hey, go ahead and be in the closet and just don't be proud. And maybe the reason why they don't want queer people to be proud because maybe it will again continue to expose the lack of power that the church actually has. It's some white supremacy shit.
You know, it's when I do that I can begin to see levels of deliverance, and it doesn't have as much of a hold on my life as it once did.
Jesus.
Feeling that, we tell men all the time, and it's what kept me in bondage for so long. I would pray and I would feel levels of deliverance and freedom, but as soon as I felt tempted, I'm back feeling like I'm bound.
Right, ground zero.
I'm back at ground zero until I realized, and this is something that we tell our guys, man, freedom isn't the lack of temptation. Freedom is the ability to say no to something that you once couldn't say no to. You know, so when we experience freedom, we're not saying that you won't be tempted. What we're saying is that you're now able to submit that thing to God.
Come on.
And anybody who tells you that they don't have temptation is a lie. It's biblical. The Bible says that Jesus was tempted on every side, yet without sin. And so if Jesus can walk through this life with temptation, but not be labeled a sinner, then so can we.
That's so.
So again, let's look at it from that perspective. Christ had one thing that a lot of people in organized religion, and that even I had to learn within the past 3 years, my damn self, is to learn how to love yourself. Because organized religion at a very young age will teach you not to. And you wonder why people get addicted. They're already being told that God does not want them, and they're secretly dealing with this. So, of course, people are going to try to alleviate the pain through alcohol, through drugs, through reckless sex. Of course. But y'all too busy dealing with the actual symptoms as opposed to the root of the issue. And there are queer people who deserve to be loved as well, who have the emotional, mental, and spiritual awareness, okay, and capability and capacity to love another human being in a beautiful way. That's why I say, like, when I watch videos like this, it'd be like, I just want y'all to just say the real shit. Like, come on with this very soft, no, just say it how it is. Because when you have queer people on the platform who also stand their ground, here come all the, and once you run out of all the 5 scriptures, then all of a sudden now you bring it in science, now you bring it in biology, now you bring it in black motherfucking ancestry.com ass, passed down word of mouth ass, cat daddy liquor store ass logic down. Now, if we're talking about dealing with temptation, again, in reference to being, I would say, being promiscuous, then yes, we can have conversations about that. Because no shade, it is not wise spiritually to have sex with people that you don't know. Because you energetically can pick things up and put yourself in a very fucked up situation. And you ain't even got to be gay for that. That's just across the board. How many men right now have baby mamas that they hate but made a bad choice in the moment of lust? How many men and women have ended up officially cheating on their spouse just for that moment of lust? So whether you straight or you gay, to their point, yes, you're going to deal with temptation. But when you love yourself and you realize that you have something at the house that is better than anything outside, yes, that outside may be giving you that extra 20, maybe giving you that 20 that you're not getting because the majority you're going to get is 80%. But if you are smart in math, why would you downgrade to 20% when you could have 80? I'm just saying. But again, let's continue.
But that's transformational and that's freeing. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's continue to dive deep because I think I know the title of where we're going with this, because it has to do with the responsibility of the church and, this idea, because right now the agenda seems like it has expanded and there are many different veins, many different lanes. I want to ask just a few simple questions because there are people that have never saw your story and there might be people that are going to be brand new to it. So I'm just going to fire off a couple questions. Do you believe that people are born gay?
Yes.
Hold.
And let me guess, because I haven't watched the entire thing. Because I think it was up to this part to where I stopped. So again, for the rest of it or whatever, it's going to be more so my initial reaction. But let me guess. Yes, they were born gay because they were born into sin and iniquity, right? Let's take a listen. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm willing to be wrong.
Hold on. That's not what I expected two men of God, Bible-believing men of God, to say. How can you justify someone saying that they're born gay? Wouldn't that just affirm and make people grounded in their sin?
I mean, okay. So, and because we're Bible-believing men, we can say that, right? So this is what I often go to. David said, I was born into sin and shaping in iniquity.
I told y'all, girl. This is textbook. This is... make sure you hit that like button, please. Thank you.
Now, some scholars will argue you can't take that one scripture and, put it on everybody else's life. However, I believe it's a glimpse, just like I believe Jeremiah is a glimpse when he said, before I placed you in your mother's belly, I knew you. I think it's a glimpse of all of humanity, that we're all now born into sin and shaping in iniquity, which means that whatever the sin expression is, you can be born with that sin expression.
Wow.
I told y'all.
There are some people that talk about...
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I also want to add, though, everybody's story is not the same. Homosexuality is complex. So everybody's story is not the same. There's some people who never had the desire, never had anything in them, then something happens at 20. That turns them out.
Wow.
It's some kind of seed that was planted, So it's...
Or it's the fact that sexuality is not as fluid as we believe it to be. It could also be...
Not for everybody.
It's different for everybody.
Yeah, it's different for everybody.
I've
But
seen
can
people
you
at
be born?
Teenagers, they go that way because of porn. Some people because of abuse. Some people because of curiosity. Some people, I believe you guys might have had people in your cohort that says, I don't even know what got me into this lifestyle.
We do. We have guys trying to figure out. They're saying, I wasn't molested. I wasn't raped. I wasn't fondled. Nothing happened. I don't know where this came from.
So then again, for individuals like me, if I was struggling with my sexuality, I've never been abused sexually. There's no dark, some memory locked in the deep dark recesses of my mind. Nothing of the sort. I've never had those stereotypical things happen to me as a queer person. But do you see how they're even going after those who haven't had those quote unquote things happening to them? Something that would be considered more natural in this way, if you will. But still, that's why I say it's queerphobic, because there is no place where they're saying, you know what, I'm gonna let God do his big one on this one, but I'm going to love you and even learn how to love better like Christ, because now Christ has also placed you into my life to help me become better, to be able to access the God in me more. And maybe by me learning to access the God in you, not through the lens of the Bible, but the actual objective lens of what the hell I can see as well and the energy that I can feel, maybe if we do that, then it would be better. Hell, might even be more transformative.
Wouldn't the idea almost make you think that it's pure? Because if it wasn't brought on by something that was impure, then this must be God sent, God ordained, or at least God allowed.
Yeah. So this is the fallen nature of man. We are all born into sin. These people that we're talking about just so happen to have the expression of same-sex attraction sin, right? But everybody has sin. At some point, that sin...
What's going on, family?
Oh, I didn't know we had a commercial. We got a commercial. Go to commercial. Go to commercial.
Influence. Some people had great mothers and great fathers. I did. But I believe that we all are born into sin, whether we see that at our young age or whether we see that later, whether it is enacted because of environments that we were raised in, or whether it's just something that we had, that something happened at the age of 20 that caused it to, flare up and we begin to see it.
And I think, again, this is another example of highlighting homosexuality in this conversation, but we don't talk about the baby who's been angry since he was 2, who's carried an attitude and been angry and had a chip on his shoulder. I have family members. I have nieces and nephews that's just been angry. But we don't have that. But we don't talk. We don't look at them and say, "Can you be born angry? Can you be born?" You know what I mean? Or people whose parents is addicts, and we talk about iniquity and how iniquity is passed down to 3 and 4 generations. And so a lot of times people are born into, and like he said with David, shaping in iniquity. You know what I mean? So you have people who have grown up and by 8 years old they're addicted to drugs. You know, I would argue that they were born addicts, that they were born with an affinity to be addicted because of their bloodline generation and iniquity.
Or I can understand that, and that's very surface level, and that's cool. But or it could also be the fact that there are factors that help to contribute and, like you said, create an environment for these individuals to go down this type of path, or like funnel, if you will. But that's why you also have to have healthy representations of things. Now, they believe that what they're doing is a healthy version of that, and no shade. If that is what God, Source Universe, has called for them to do, and there are individuals who feel connected to their message, by all means, if you find a way to find freedom and this is the way to find a path for yourself, then by all means, go ahead and do it, Pippin. I'm not going to stop anybody from being free from something that they don't want. I'm never going to stop people from doing that. But the problem is that organized religion creates this blanketed generalization over the queer community and then uses people who are ex-queer to help enforce their narrative. These are people saying that God will change you, but he's not going to change your desire. What? But yet in this book, all this miraculous stuff, the dead being raised, sick people with terminal illnesses are now cured and healed, rocks crying out, a burning bush. Shout out to the burning bush. A burning bush. Barbara Bush. All that. But yet you can't get rid of the desire. And you tell these people to live with that. And no shade. Yeah, there are some people who fucked up on alcohol and messed their liver up and everything who have no desire for the shit. There are some that struggle with the desire. And then there are those who've been drinking every day since they've been 5 and was able to live to be 102 years old and is healthy. And somehow, some way, they were not part of how everybody else who did the same thing they did ended up in that same predicament. Because again, we're talking about God, which is bigger than anything that we could fathom. And if it is being allowed on this planet, there is a reason and a purpose for it. And I just wish that some people who are trying to have these conversations in an objective way or a loving way would actually realize that. Because again, with this video, what's happening is that they're basically having 2 ex-gay people to come in and literally affirm what they have been taught to believe about queer people. Because again, Christian nationalism is rising. Again, queerphobia is rising. We are seeing this. Let me look at some of the comments real quick. And shout out to y'all being in the building. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Queen Stevie says, organizations in the... Let me cut my mic down. Is my mic too loud? Because I know there's moments where it sounds like I'm peaking. Can y'all hear me? Do I sound good still? Okay, Queen Stevie says, organizations in the ex-gay movement such as Exodus International offer conversion therapy with the claim that an LGBTQ person's involvement in the programming can change their sexual orientation to hetero. Ex-gay people are those who formerly participated in the ex-gay movement in an attempt to change their sexual orientation to heterosexual, but who then later went on to publicly state they had they are, I guess you're saying, they are non-hetero. And I already said it. I would love if I was walking in the financial freedom that I'm manifesting. If I had it right now, baby, I would pay these 2 individuals on the screen motherfucking Jackie Hill Perry, Rashad Verman, whatever his name is, and all the other black ex-gay people to sit down and say, okay, I want y'all to watch Pray Away. I think it's still on Netflix, the ex-gay documentary about, again, to Queen Stevie's point, individuals who were part of the ex-gay movement in the 80s and 90s, who this whole entire time were lying. Yes, they were able to keep up the optics. They were able to keep up the look and the image that we got it together. But again, when they sleeping at night, and they should be intimate with their wife, but they thinking about another man while being intimate with their wife, that does a disservice to the wife, does it not? That does a disservice to the marriage, does it not? That does a disservice to what her ideology is about the man that she married is. Isn't that kind of damaging that? Y'all say y'all want to have a conversation. We gonna try to have a conversation. Queen Stevie also says the American Psychiatric Association describes conversion therapy as ineffective at changing sexual orientation and as harmful to the queer person's well-being. Let's continue to listen further, y'all.
But again, we only talk about can you be born gay, but we don't talk about can you be born with sin, nature, and expression. The answer to that overall question is absolutely.
Dang, your answer is like eliminating my questions. Like you're paralyzing all my questions. Okay, big shots. I think. Okay, so now let's go, because you guys are leading in the church capacity,
Right.
and you're leading a specific group of men. First of all, congratulations on what you guys are doing. I've never heard of anything like that.
Glory to God. We hadn't either.
Two black men literally creating something that you all would have needed.
Let me just pause and say thank you.
Me?
Yeah, for the part that you played. I got to say thank you, bro. And you know, we've told the story over and over again, but thank you for showing me brotherhood.
I gotta say,
not gonna get emotional, but bro, I appreciate you creating a space for me. You know, and even some of the small things you do, bro. Like I post on social media sometimes. Nobody comments, and you right there.
Don't start, man. Don't start.
No, seriously, bro. So I just appreciate your love and the space that you created for this to come into fruition, bro. I was just trying to tell my story. Even sitting in the seat right now, I'm like, how did I get here? Bro, I'm just telling my story, just trying to live right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a, answer, solutionist to all of this or expert. I'm just trying to live holy, man. And I'm trying to do what Jesus told Peter to do. He said, once you've been converted, strengthen your brothers.
Oh yeah, well he told Peter to do that, but there's a bunch. Oh, not Peter. I'm thinking of Paul. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah, you're literally a bridge past the. I would have never met Apostle had I not met you.
Wow.
Through BUBZ is where we got connected, and God told me to move to Huntsville, but it wouldn't have happened had it not.
Absolutely. And even the whole cohort. After I did the podcast with you, we never said this, so let's say it now. So after I did the podcast with you, bro, my line was going off. Phone was going off, DMs were going off. About 300 men joined BOB. WhatsApp after that, and they're still joining, bro. You know what I mean? And so I appreciate community because y'all gave me space. I remember you and Mark was like, "Hey, Reg, just sit, just chill. Don't respond to nobody. We got you right now." And you guys gave me time to pray, and then I met him, in between that time, and to create something such as BNY, what we're doing for the brothers now. It was just a response to a call, bro. And also a continuation of my response to God. And I told him, if you make me this man that you showed me that you're going to make me, then I vow to be for others who I never had. And now I get the opportunity to do that. So thank you, bro.
That is incredible. First of all, that leads me to, it's going to lead me to my next point, which I didn't plan to go here yet. But honestly, meeting you guys, like you guys in my life has literally fine-tuned and given clarity to what I consider my purpose in life. Like God had put men on my heart since 2020 heavy, and you responded to the call. You're one of the first men that responded to that call. And I'm just like, but okay, now what? And now I'm seeing like the way that what God wants me to be for men is a safe space, but also that canvas that allows them to grow and to be, because God has entrusted men to me. And I don't know why he does. Not just men, but men that others would cast away, men that others would forget, men that others wouldn't esteem. And I realized, like, and I think I might have said this before, but before this, if you were to tell me 10 years ago that, you know, or if someone was to send a man who was struggling with homosexuality to me 10 years ago, I would say, send it to somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't got nothing for him. I never struggled with this. And in fact, to a certain extent, I'm gonna just admit this live. Like, I guess you could say that it was a bit of, I don't know if you would call it homophobia, but it was, I'm not trying to be, dang, I'm putting myself on blast.
No, that's what we want the church to do. Put yourself on blast. Don't get mad when the world puts you on blast. Put yourself on blast. Pull an Eminem 8 Mile and tell all your tea and all your stuff so that you walk in the absolute truth, so that no matter what the hell happened, these people can't use the truth against you because you know it as your friend. And I gotta say thank you. So, yes, please tell us. You said homophobic. Let's continue.
Don't say it.
I used to tell my wife, I'm like, anytime you see a so-called looking straight man hanging with a feminine dude, that man is gay if he's not his brother.
Hold on, let me put my extra gay voice on. 1 second, hold on.
Thank you, girl. Thank you, girl. Thank you for telling us what we already knew. We already knew this. He was again, shout out to you, bro. Like, I gotta give you a G. I'm being extra gay, so I gotta give you a G. A G for gay. Not you gay, but I have to give you a G. Like, you literally was able to say what so many other men are afraid to say because they're afraid of getting checked. But you said it. You said that whenever you see a straight man around a gay man, guess what? He gay. Cause see, my man, he don't be doing that. He don't hang around homosexuals because my man not gay, okay? Cause see, my man, fuck you and your man.
I'm just saying, shit. But at least he open and he honest by saying that. And a lot of people in the church think this. And even people outside the church think this. There'll be niggas who only go to church on Easter Sunday who would think this. Niggas out here who killing, stealing, robbing, literally being a white supremacy and blackface in their own damn community. But yet they can still talk about the gays as if though that's the worst thing to do, man. I don't play that gay shit, bro. I don't play that fast shit, bro. I don't do that. So again, appreciate him for being honest and saying what he really thinks. Because yes, he said, well, I don't know if it's called a little queerphobia. No, that's queerphobia, pimping. Let me help you out with queerphobia, okay? You can believe the textbook definition as well, but I'm also going to give you some more nuance on it. Queerphobia is basically when you believe any and everything negative, demonstrative, demonic, deconstructive, everything horrible, erroneous, jarring, all type of shit about queer people, but yet deny their existence, deny their character, deny them the right to be able to live their life how they want to live, especially if they're not objectively harming themselves or other people. If you can believe all the negative but none of the positive aspects about it, use queerphobic, pimpin'. So thank you for showing us in real time with a real-ass example. Again, I got to give you a G for that. Thank you for telling us that, because that is what a lot of men think. A lot of black men, to be honest. Let's get back to the video.
So I used to be like, I'm not gonna be that straight guy that's trying to help a gay guy or something like that. I talked about how coming up, so many gay men try me. I'm gonna just say this as well. Even to this day, now, when I put out podcasts and people are not connected with my context and they don't know who I am, they be like, that host is gay.
But do you see how queerphobia even affects you, pimping, and you not? You fit the part, nigga. You have the beard, you have the look, you have the idea of what a black man is supposed to look like, and no shade. There are gay men out there that low-key look like you, pimping. Beard and all. You look like a saved version of Kyle Levine if Kyle Levine gave his life to Christ. And for you Christians who don't want to be looking at nasty stuff, but you definitely low-key want to look at nasty stuff because you the freaky Christians, look up Kyle Levine. And I'm going to pray for you because he scares me and I'm a top. Okay? Very terrifying. But yes, I mean, again, men, like I said earlier, are hypersexual. You have heterosexual men that will holler at women, low-key try women, be aggressive and touch on women. You think they just going to do that for the women? It's going to be some gay men that do that shit to other men. Because again, when you are a man in this society, through patriarchy and a toxic viewpoint of it, sorry for that loud-ass pitch, but the toxic viewpoint of it is telling you and teaching you how to be a man and what you can get away with and what you can do. So yes, you're going to have some men try you. Now, again, if you're confident within yourself, you can just tell them niggas no. Now, if they keep pressing you after you tell them no, then yes, knuck if you buck. But again, there are men that literally, when they're around other gay men, when they're a heterosexual man, insecure, shall I say, around other gay men, they will feel insecure. That's something internally. It'll be one thing if they walked over and said,
hey, daddy, girl, daddy, you, the way you wearing them sweatpants and the way that thing is swinging, and I want to start banging it all over my body because I'm feeling really naughty.
Girl, I can understand if they saying some shit like that. That makes sense. Pimpin' already told you I'm not with that shit, and they keep going, yes, whoop their ass because they a nigga. But just the fact that a queer person, especially a feminine gay man, again with femininity, even if you're not a masculine man, here it is, this individual is a whole heterosexual man, but because he's more soft-spoken, because he's willing to have a conversation and all that stuff, some people gonna look at him and be like, oh girl, he DL. I don't know. I like feminine men. Feminine gay men that are open with themselves. That's what I'm attracted to. Walk in your truth. But again, that's how queerphobia even affects y'all. So the people who are saying that queerness is wrong still deal with the effects of queerphobia, but then say that there's no such thing as queerphobia.
You know how many times people have like threw and projected gay on me? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's something that I do or something I say. So coming up since high school, I've always thought that there was something slight
that
that
gays that were there. They ex-gay. So I mean, it ain't for real. They could have been like, oh, well, it's your beard pimping. Oh, you got nice skin pimping. Or so and so and so and so pimping. They could have told you they ain't gay no more. They can let you know the tea without trying to get into the draws with their with no longer wearing panties.
Off that maybe people are thinking that I'm gay. So I definitely didn't want to add to the narrative. But having these conversations and building this fellowship and friendship allowed me to build a level of resilience, strength, boldness, and desire to not just, I'm not going to reject that, but I welcome it. I look for it. There was even a time that there was a brother, you know, who was doing these marches. They were called, like, I don't know, it's called Rainbow, to declare that God is now setting homosexuality, people that have struggled with this, he's setting them free, and we're going to do a march to declare that God is good. I was considering, I'm going to stand with you. Like, I tell you, that will be the last thing I would ever do. But I've gotten to the place that I'm like.
But it's still in a safe place of, oh, we're still against it. We're taking back the rainbow. Because the queers that sat up here and they done groomed the God, girl. Got God out here being gay, girl. So with that being said, we're going to stop them. Yes, it was still the context of that. But are you having conversations with homosexuals or queer people like consciously? Are you having conversations with individuals like Reckless Logic? Are you having conversations with individuals like Bishop, I forgot his title, but Romel Parks, Brother William, both of those individuals who were on the Hardly Initiated podcast? Having conversation with the BubzDaGawds. Y'all afraid to have people like us on the platform because we're going to give you the stark reality, not the reality of what you believe or what you think in reference to how you've interpreted the Bible, but what's actually in your face. Because even in the Bible, it talked about things manifesting and actually becoming flesh, actually manifesting into the realm, into the experience. And what we are seeing is that as far as y'all claiming to have the cure for homosexuality, we see through the bullshit. And for a lot of us who lived in the closet, girl, we not going back to that. We already know what the fuck that looked like. You think we gonna go through and give a rebrand or a revamp to that?
I'm sure that if Jesus was in a scenario where he stood next to the woman who just got caught red-handed in the act, when he stood next to the woman at the well, when they said, isn't that a Samaritan woman? Jesus in those positions were what I was afraid of being. Yet I say that I want Jesus, I want to live that life and I want to replicate him and he lives through me. Like, how am I more concerned about my reputation, which is nothing but a man who has failed God, lived the life of his own sin that just looked differently than other people's sin, that has been saved by grace? That's it. I don't got nothing else to boast of but the simple fact that y'all don't know my mess and God has protected y'all from knowing my mess and he saved me.
Yeah.
So,
But that,
who am I to not surrender my life and to not dive deep into helping whoever needs help? And so because of you guys, because of even stories like this, I welcome this. I think that I've even had people kind of side-eye me like, the host of this show gotta be gay because he keeps having these conversations.
Yeah.
I've had that multiple times and I'm just like, no, I have these conversations because they're necessary.
Yeah.
And I love men. And I realize that this is not an isolated situation. It's not even about the minority of men that are going through it, especially amongst minorities. This is a big,
Absolutely.
It is a real
big
problem.
conversation.
Yes, it's a real problem. And,
Go ahead.
And it's a conversation that must be had. And let me add to this, bro. You know, it's not just hard for you.
Yeah.
It's hard for me.
yeah.
You know, this is a hard conversation
Absolutely.
to have.
Yeah.
You know, to have to pretty much lay your life down and stand on the forefront, you know, and declare the glory of God and, you know, all of that. But this is a conversation that has to be had. I went to the men's conferences. I went to the church conferences. I went to the prayer conferences. Nobody gave me, anytime they brought it up, it was just like, hell, you know, and I'm like, yo, is there anybody in here who made it through? Is there anybody in here who's making it through?
Come on.
Anybody in here who still believe in God? Anybody in here who doesn't have a squeaky clean testimony?
My God.
Is there anybody that I can look at and I identify with? And that's what we hear most of the time. When you're telling your story, when I saw you on YouTube for the first time, I sat and wept because I saw somebody who looked like me, who had a story that sounded like mine. I felt seen and I felt heard. So we have to have the conversations.
And I also want to continue that it's the same thing for queer people like myself, who also, through other queer content creators that really inspired me to challenge my insecurities, challenge my ego, challenge the fear inside of me to help transform my life for the better. So in a sense, I can't be mad or take it personal because, again, I'm attacking more so the theology and the system as opposed to these individuals because I don't know them personally to make such judgment. But again, I'm all for individuals wanting to be free from certain things in their lives, regardless of what it is. Whatever they want to be free from, they can be free from it. But what I think is missing from the conversation or the gray area that both those that are ex-gay and Christian and those who are queer, and even those who are queer and Christian, there is a missing element or a roadblock or some sort of divider that's preventing us from coming together and actually manifesting the totality, as is labeled for this live, the totality of love. To know that you are covered no matter where you are on the spectrum. You have individuals who are a part of these organizations who I'm going to just believe what they're saying as far as they feel safe, they feel heard, they feel like somebody is going through the struggle with them. And no shade, people are willing to connect with people who know what the fuck it feels like to go through some shit than somebody who act like they ain't never went through some shit. Because he kind of clocked the church. Because, again, if we're talking about traditional churches, and traditional churches have this traditional idea about queer people to where even to this day when you take your ass to church and you're looking around saying, well, where are the people who have a testimony? Where are the people who have stories and haven't forgotten where they came from? That's church, unfortunately, at large. And then you wonder why queer people have to create their own churches and their own affirming churches. And let's be real, even in those churches, there's a level of hierarchy and a level of bullshit in there. No church is full for bullshit because at the end of the day, the church is made up of the community. The church is made up of people who live in community, who live in the same city, neighboring city, same state as you, coming together in a place to congregate. That's why I'm saying you also have to balance in the human aspect, and you're going to have to learn to love the human aspect. This whole thing has taught us to beat our flesh down daily. Beat our flesh, beat our flesh. We need to find a way to transmute that type of thinking into a way that love and honors your flesh. Not love and honor your flesh in a way where you're just taking from everybody and you're not giving anything, but to also include yourself because you deserve to live the best life possible regardless of what's going on around you. And if all those people in that book was able to have miraculous experiences, have supernatural experiences, something that is natural but a higher level of it, but yet you cannot manifest that on a ground level, there is an issue and a problem with that. There are going to be some people who may be able to hear the word of freedom and may be able to live a better life if they do go down this path of being ex-gay, because again, everybody's story is different, and I'm willing to accept that, which is why I'm not denying their existence. I may have some questions, just like they have questions. They may have opinions, just like I have opinions, so let's all share our information. But at the end of the day, as long as you're finding something that makes you free and makes you a better individual and a human being, I am all for that. Not everybody gonna get it through Christianity. Not everybody gonna get it through Buddhism. Not everybody gonna get it through whatever. But if you understand what the energy of love feels like, that is a universal energy and a universal language that transcends every tongue, every denomination, every orientation, every ethnicity. No matter what makes you unique, love is the core, is the hub, is the root of it all. And if you have Christian people who are demonizing love, ooh, that's a red flag, a red MAGA hat flag, that something's not right. Let's continue because we got like 10 more minutes left of this.
It's taboo, but we gotta talk about this. Yeah. We gotta talk, and that's the only reason why. The only reason why I say yes is because I knew that there were men like me who needed to find somebody that, I was about to say names, but I'm not, who needed to find somebody else that was a man. Woo. You know?
Yeah. I remember sitting.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, I remember I would just sit and cry out to God like, can this be a thing? I have never seen anybody delivered.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody set free. Even in church, you know, everybody who struggled with homosexuality, they were just preached about and shunned. I would just ask, like, I can't find anybody. Can this be a thing? Are you even able to deliver me?
You didn't
Is
think,
it
you guys didn't think it was possible.
I didn't know. We had no reference point. So the fornicators have a reference point. The drug addicts have a reference point. The alcoholics have a reference point. You know, because when people give up and give their testimonies, that's what they're talking about.
Yes.
But nobody, when I was growing up, got up and said, hey, I used to be homosexual, especially a man. Hey, I used to be homosexual, but now I'm not, bro. Yeah.
Have we not heard about Donnie McClurkin? Unless this is childhood, and I don't know how old the individual is. He looked like he in his mid-20, early 30s. But Donnie McClurkin, anybody? Isn't a clip becoming viral again about him preaching about homosexuality that we shared, or again on a live that I did about Donnie McClurkin? If you want to watch that, you can definitely check that out. But I mean,
it wasn't a thing for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, again, like Apostle said, when you first asked me, I was just like, at first I wanted to say no. I'm going to be, you know, because I'm like, who wants to put themselves out there like that, right?
My God.
Even after we did the podcast, I don't even know if you've seen it. I didn't send it to you on purpose. But even after I did a podcast with you, somebody took the podcast we did.
Oh, yeah.
He's a LGBTQ platform and just read me for filth on YouTube. And like broke down the YouTube clip and everything, and just, I mean, and it was a struggle, but I was able to endure it because I knew that outside of that, even if it's just one little boy sitting in his room asking God if he can be delivered and free, like I was, he'll be able to get on YouTube and he'll be able to find an Apostle Reginald, he'll be able to find a Pastor Zaire, he'll be able to find a Pastor Ezekiel having this conversation, and if it gives one little boy hope, it's worth it.
Yeah.
and I understand that. And that makes sense because, again, on your end, that is what it is for you. And again, when I think of ex-gay, when people say ex-gay, what I think I'm starting to realize is the fact that, let me come big screen, y'all. What I'm starting to realize now, at least to me, is the fact that I feel like there is a divorce from the community aspect, the lingo, the culture. Like there's a division. I don't want to be a part of the culture. Now, if that is the case, I can somewhat understand it because even though I am an activist, I am not all the way in the culture. I also have my limits. I also have my boundaries of things within the culture, and no shade, quiet as it's kept. With certain things in the community, I am very conservative about. So, I mean, hey, but I can still advocate for people to find a space of peace in their life. And just like how these individuals are talking to people every day, no shade, I talk to people every day. I don't just talk on YouTube. I do this shit all the time. My phone be ringing off like a damn radio station. I can't wait for my cash apps to ring off like that. And if you definitely want to send a cash app, you definitely can to BubzDaGawd, okay? $ BubzDaGawd, cash app. We take everything that jingles, O's, and everything in between. Okay? Thank you very kindly for that. But again, there was a little boy in my wonderfully made docuseries that I made that I suggest if you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it, where I remember being a boy who prayed and asked God to deliver me. I was getting my ass whooped all the time at school. I had queerphobic experiences happening to me before I even was able to be aware that they were queerphobic. But I also had to accept the fact that the way the reality, that society has been indoctrinated to believe these things about queer people that you ain't even got to be a Christian to believe, that people who ain't even real Christians don't believe. What do you think that does to the psyche of a child? And y'all wonder why the self-deletion rate amongst the queer community is so damn high. And not just with children, but as adults too. So for the boy that's in the room that's crying, you got a decision to make. And whatever choice you make comes with a series of consequences. One tells you that if you make this choice when you die, you will go to hell, and they can't even prove that. But you also can look at the truth in front of you for what it is and even navigate that, because as a queer man who, again, abstains from sex, who understands sexual energy, who, yes, has been tempted, and I mean tempted to where, again, I've had individuals who were fine as fuck in front of me, but bookie ass naked, okay, ready for me to take them, but because I love myself. And my other brain down there has a mind of its own to where it also be on some bullshit as far as, okay, yeah, I want to do shit, but I'm going to go limp. I can't move, girl. I can't get no blood rushing, girl. Blood rushing to my heart as opposed to down there. Come on, self-mechanism. But I had to learn how to do that because I had those experiences of temptation where I could have took it. And yes, there were times where I've been in temptation and I've taken it because I'm human. But I don't judge people for that. I just try to do better. So again, going back to the whole ex-gay thing, if these individuals are saying, I don't want to be a part of the culture anymore, I don't want to be a part of the lingo anymore, I don't want to deal with hookup culture, because hookup culture in the queer community is a fucking virus, if you ask me. Because people don't even know how to have sex consciously. It is from a lust-filled place of, I'm trying to get my nut. I don't care about you as a human being. I don't care about what you got going on. I don't care about your mama, your daddy. I don't care about what's going on with you. I don't give a damn if you have this going on, that going on. I came here to fuck. What we doing? You deserve more than that. So maybe those individuals are saying that I want to be divorced from that. And no shade, if that is the case, that's cool. But you still deserve to have somebody love you. Not lust after you. Not someone who just wants your body and your booty and everything else that's on the body. That they gonna want you for, more importantly, what's in here and what's in here, because those are the two things that really matter. Because all this shit changes. I put on a little extra weight. My face is a little fuller. But I know that the individual who's meant for me gonna love me, whether my ass is snatched or whether my ass is snatching them Debbie cakes from him to inhale like I'm Jigglypuff. That they will love who I am on the inside. And yes, in the queer community, it is very vain because you have a bunch of people who have grown up being told that they ain't nothing, they shit, they're abominations. And now that they become older and become adults and they have not healed from their traumas, that also was inspired by a bunch of ignorant ass people around them, now they create these hierarchies within the queer community to where you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to be a certain way, you have to have this much money, you have to have, you think the standards in the heterosexual community is something. Baby, in the queer community, it's low-key on some Luciferian shit. And I mean Lucifer as far as he was the prettiest, baddest angel in the land, girl. So even that type of mindset is there in that context. But again, when you love yourself, when you love yourself, when you love what's in here and what's here about you, and find the healthy aspects and let go of the toxic ones, the universe, God, source consciousness, whatever you want to call it, will make its way to you in reference to it being your season and your time to manifest what it is that you want romantic. Because I don't give a damn. I am an openly gay man, and I'm going to be with another man, whether people like it or not. And in this current administration, the Trump administration, or as I call it, the trauma administration, there is a possibility that individuals like me can lose my life for who I love. Not who I'm lusting or I'm fucking, but loving. And on top of all that, loving publicly. Because if the gays love themselves publicly, and God ain't sending no thunderbolts from the sky like Zeus, or doing the catastrophic shit in the book, then that means that something's going on with the book. And y'all not ready for those conversations about what's really going on with that book. And for the individuals that are queerphobic and you use the King James Version, that's very funny because there's been speculations about him being gay. I told y'all queerphobia is going to affect everybody. Anyway, let's go back.
Man, I'm going to take a pivot left because y'all taking it there. Before we start talking about our responsibility a little bit, you mentioned on our episode that we did about demonic priest. That was very interesting. And it doesn't just deal with what we're talking about now, but I want you to kind of mention that, because when you that has stuck with me for a very long time, and I want you to kind of go into that a little bit.
Bro, actually, man, God gave me that while I was sitting there talking to you. I was like, God, you want me to say this? Because it's heavy, but it's true. You know, I believe James 1 is where we can get a reference where it talks about how sin matures, becomes this ravenous beast that eventually takes over. My late, well, not late, but my apostle Gloria Sylvester, she called it pet demons that grew up. And so what happens is you're groomed, you're brought into this environment, you're desensitized, and before you know it, you're built up and you grow up and you become someone who sometimes even unconsciously perpetuates the culture.
Wait, say that again. Say what you just said again. You said you're groomed, and then take that, because that was all fast.
Groomed into the culture.
Yes.
As a child. Yeah. You're desensitized.
Yep, just like how we were groomed to the like I was groomed to the culture of organized religion as a child. Yep.
Desensitized.
Yes, desensitized and learning not to really operate in empathy, but just to be able to check other Christians or the people who ain't Christian, because if I do that, I'm going to heaven closer. Right?
It becomes normal for you.
It becomes normal for me to be queerphobic. It becomes normal for me that when I see queer people, something in my spirit tells me that, oh, God told me to tell you. If I see a queer person, oh my God, I got to start throwing scriptures. If I see a gay person, oh my God, I got to talk about it at church. If I see a gay person, oh my God, I got to speak about it on YouTube, about how about horrible and nasty and destructive and demonic it is. Oh my God. So, right.
You know, like I was saying, we had a conversation earlier. If somebody told me that they were a virgin, I never believed them. Yeah. Because I had started having sex so early. It was just a normal thing for me. And so then you begin to perpetuate the culture. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying that all homosexuals or same-sex attracted people are pedophiles. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, even if it is consensual, you're still taking men down for the kingdom of darkness. Yeah.
Whoa. Let's go back. I want to make sure I heard that correct. What happened?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am,
so I go back a little bit more,
and you become someone who sometimes even unconsciously perpetuates the culture.
Wait, say that again. Say what you just said again. You said you're groomed, and then take that, because that was all fast.
Groomed into the culture.
Yes.
As a child. Yeah. You're desensitized. You know, it becomes normal for you. You know, like I was saying, we had a conversation earlier. If somebody told me that they were a virgin, I never believed them. Yeah. Because I had started having sex so early. It was just a normal thing for me. And so then you begin to perpetuate the culture. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying that all homosexuals or same-sex attracted people are pedophiles. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, even if it is consensual, you're still taking men down for the kingdom of darkness. Yeah.
Queen Stevie says it right here. So simple, but yet potent. This is dangerous. So again, for consensual people who are not PDF files, we're talking about 2 adults over the age of 21 who are aware and cognitive fully about what the hell's going on, who knows themselves, understands themselves, not gonna sit out here and lie and pretend just to blend into society in a very falsified way, but walking in their truth. And they find someone else that they connect with, that they vibe with, and then they end up being consensual in that intimacy. Even individuals like us who follow that type of way, which, if you want to be honest, low-key compliments Christianity or compliments what they feel like romance should be like or love should be like. But because it's 2 men and it's being consensual, even if it is consensual, you are taking another man down for the kingdom of darkness. And you say that queerphobia does not exist. King Harold says, what does that mean? Taking men down to kingdom of darkness. So does that same logic apply to women who partner with men? That doesn't make sense. Well, this is organized religion's logic at work. Deshaun says, but black ex-gay. This is crazy. White people did this first. Now it's ex-black gays. Oh my God, I'm done. Well, Queen Stevie says ex-gay therapy or conversion therapy is extremely dangerous. And end quote. Sean says history is repeating itself. Y'all continue to sound off. We almost done, y'all.
To feed something in you. I needed the attention. I needed the affirmation. I needed the applause. I needed all of that. I needed another man to be near me who wanted to be around me. And because the way I grew up, it felt like this was the only way that I can get a man to be around me. Well, then this is the price that I'm going to pay, not realizing that in paying my price, I'm taking somebody down. Because you never know where another man is. And listening to all of these testimonies to the men in the cohort, bro, I weep because we start with them sharing the testimonies. And sometimes I weep because it's like, dang, I know right now somebody may be sharing a testimony or what have you, and I'm one of the people that they're talking about in their story. Oh, the person that they saw in the mall that gave them the, because some of them, man, it's not even like, it doesn't even go all the way to sex. It's just like, I was in the mall one day and I was looking at this guy, he was looking at me and we just kind of locked eyes, and that just stuck with me for like, and they're 40 years old and that was when they were 20 and that thing stuck with them. And so I'm saying, dang, how many guys would say, I locked eyes with somebody at the mall and that was me? They would say that I met somebody and we ended up hooking up and that was me. And so and one thing that really helped to set me free was, one, I had to see men as my brothers in Christ. Number two, I had to make up my mind that I didn't want to be a villain in another man's testimony, consensual or not.
This is just so funny to me how they narrate all of this situation. Now let's use the example about locking eyes with a dude at the mall, and that was 20 years ago. Yeah, because you can't walk in your truth. So yeah, if I was sitting here pretending to be something that I'm not, or still struggling with the desires, and I see a fine ass nigga at the mall and we lock eyes, and locking eyes, so damn, I can't even look a man in the eyes, girl, without it just being hellbound. And let's talk about ex-gay conversion therapy. I love how they talk about how a lot of these men are free from homosexuality, and we don't struggle, and we don't, our lives are better from this situation. Well, what did you do that was different for the other gay men who ended up taking their own life because they couldn't get rid of the desire? See, I would love for ex-gay men to also, like, if we're going to have the conversation about what the Bible says or the interpretation of organized religions, a viewpoint and lens of the Bible, if we're going to talk about that and talk about all the horrible consequences that can come from a Christian perspective, I'm fine with that. Let's do that. We can have that conversation because, no shade, queer people like myself grew up hearing that. So it's really nothing new. It's just trying to be rebranded. But if we're going to be fair, if we're going to be objective, if we're going to operate in justice and in love, which is balanced, correct? Then I also want ex-gay people to have, or I also want this individual on this platform to have conversations with individuals who were once ex-gay. That would be a dope-ass live or a dope-ass video. I would love for that person, because now he is interviewing those who are ex-gay, I would love for him to interview people who were once ex-gay but realized what it really was. Because organized religion is like giving these individuals a loophole in a sense, which is you can be gay, just don't act on it. But damn it, I looked the nigga in the eye, and now I'm afraid to tell anybody about me. Like I ain't even touched the man. But so a man thinketh, right? So he is. Because if you've done it in your heart, you've already, and that's what the word says, right? Correct? And I also want individuals who are considering the ex-gay route, that just like how they tell y'all about the homosexual community and how, oh, this was all gonna happen, you could get AIDS, and you can go ahead and you're gonna get all these diseases, and you're gonna have a prolapsed asshole, and you're gonna have to wear diapers at fucking 40 years old, and you're gonna grow up old and single by yourself, and then now you're gonna become a PDF file, and now you're gonna be trying to pass it on and try to get all that type of shit or whatever. Okay, well, if that is what they are going to say, put the information out there. Let's put the other side of the information. You as an ex-gay man will never, ever be fulfilled romantically, ever. You know those moments where you going through things in your life? You going through trials. Let me come full screen. You going through your trials and your tribulations. You going through shit in your life that's shaking you to the core. You call the pastor ain't there. You call the deacon ain't there. The reverend, you call them the people of God, and the people of God got lives too, and trying to work out their own soul salvation, which they need to do more of. I'm pretty sure you would love to have somebody just hold you. And I think there's a lot of gay men out there that really don't want the sex for real, for real. They just want to be held in love. There have been times where I've dated dudes to where we hung out. We never had sex. I don't think there's nothing wrong with a little heavy petting and a little touching or whatever, because, again, I have self-control for the most part. 99.9% have self-control. You know what I'm saying? So I have self-control. But there are times where we just laid up and they laid on my chest, because even though I'm a leprechaun, this chest ain't. Hey, I'm built nice. You know what I'm saying? And I can literally feel their body weight just feel relieved, girl. Feel relieved. Because as much as we talk about the hookup culture and how niggas out here getting played with and all that other type of stuff, which we can have those deeper conversations about sex and why people do what they do energetically. I would love those type of conversations. Those type of conversations I really want to have. More spiritual, esoteric conversations. And trying to bring it down to the human level. The common man level. We can talk about that. But some of these gay men just want to have companionship. And he did say something which I'm like, okay, that's different. I can see that. He said I had to see men also as brothers as Christ, which also means that not every man that you friends with, you ain't got to fuck them. I have people that are friends that I don't want to fuck. And even if you do have a crush on somebody, y'all can still be cordial and not go a certain type of way, because guess what? Communication is happening. Honesty is happening to where we can go ahead and get to a common level. Again, the information being shared. There's so much that we can go in reference to this conversation. But again, through the Christian perspective, the organized religious perspective, the only way that you are going to be accepted as a person who is queer, only thing is that you're going to have to be queer. Keep it on the down low, down low, down low. Keep it on the down low. Don't talk about it. Don't ask, don't tell. Until people start getting in your business. Until there are women that find you attractive and want to see what you got going on. Because one thing about the church, they will get into your business. If you are a young man and you don't have a wife yet, they already assuming that your ass gay. So, I mean, let's continue.
Because I think we feel like, oh, well, we the same age. It's consensual. It's okay. No, it's not. Because you're another person. You're another stronghold. You're another person that's gripped their heart, another person that's created wicked and evil imaginations in their mind. They're trying to worship and they thinking about you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But how many times have pastors literally be on the pulpit and talk about their wife? Oh, my wife, my beautiful wife. I was saying before I started that she blessed me. She didn't bless the microphone before we got up on this microphone. Shout out to First Lady. They say that all the time, and we human beings. Now, to your point, if it's individuals who are just trying to fuck you, if it's individuals who don't care about you, if it's individuals who are just coming at you at a very low, shallow, low vibrational ass type of way, then yes, protect yourself and protect your energy. But what happens, and I ask this question to a lot of my queer brothers, especially black queer brothers a lot, what happens when the right one comes along? Because I don't give a damn. There's a healthy version of queerness that is out here. And despite what people believe or what they want to believe, there are people that are living those realities and those experiences, and you have the right to live them as well. But what happens when you meet an individual who you're waiting for every contradiction to happen? You're waiting for everything to pop the hell off to just make you be like, yep, I knew it. Oh, it's always me. I'm always getting heartbroken. What when you meet that person, again, you're looking for contradiction, but truth is ringing in every fucking word, and not just in their word, they damn actions. Then what? And as an individual who has been that for niggas, who has been a good thing in their life, you know what I also realized? A lot of those people did not have the capacity to fully receive it either, because they were afraid, because now they had to trust, which means that they never healed from the previous experiences. They never was able to talk to other men, especially gay men, and vent and cry and talk about the heartbreak and pain that they went through. You know, the way that niggas talk to me, the way I've had niggas call me and cry on the phone with me or vent to me about their shit because I'm that nigga that does this in real life. I'm just talking about me. If we had more of those honest conversations like that, you would see transformative work across the board, even for queer people. And for the queer boy, girl, man, woman, I don't give a fuck. For the queer person that is listening to this who is struggling with their sexuality, you have a right to decide whatever it is that you gonna do. There are individuals that are offering you a certain perspective to go, i.e. these individuals, shout out to them, because there might be some people who may find freedom in that. But there are some of us who had to learn how to walk in our truth, who already learned at a young age how society views us even before we fully even understand ourselves. And then when we try to understand ourselves, the heterosexual community tries to control the narrative and the reins on that. So when you meet individuals like myself who are walking in their truth, and no shade, if I'm going to hell, I guess I'm just going to have to see them. Do you know how blasphemous that is for me to say? But I mean, if we go through the narrative, I mean, Christ descended into hell before he ascended into heaven. So if Christ is already in hell, I shouldn't have no problems, right? Because again, the totality of love is so powerful and so beyond our comprehension that it don't matter where you are. You can make your bed in heaven or hell. Karma, God, source, universe, consciousness, love will find your ass there. Let's continue, y'all. We almost done.
And we got the verbiage and the phrasing that we say, and it is true. Taking souls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
Taking people down, bro. And so I had to realize, man, that in trying to feed this thing that was in me that I needed, I was essentially taking the life out of another brother.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Also, my
Just piggyback on that. I think we have this conversation all the time about the perversion of gifts. And so a lot of time when you are acting, as you said, like a demonic priest, what you don't realize is that most of the time as you're luring and you're drawing men into this, you're using a gift that God has given you that the enemy has perverted. And so for example, for me, I have a prophetic gifting. I have a very strong sense of discernment. I can look at people and really just know what you feel, what makes you take what you need. When I was in the streets, I was using that to get into men's heads. And so if I could look at you, I knew what to say to you. I knew how to kind of talk to you to make you feel a certain type of way, to lock you into what I wanted you to do for me, not realize that the enemy was perverting a gift that God had given me to use for his kingdom and his glory. And so how many men have we taken down? How many men have we hurt with a gift that God gave to us to build them up?
Okay, and let's talk about that. And I can only, again, speak from my experience, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I've never been a nigga that used anything that I have to try to get into a nigga's head. If anything, I was too much in my own head trying to be the good thing or the right thing or the thing that is fruitful in life. But to your point, because there's a lot of brokenness within the queer community and sex is used as a way to cope with that, yes, if you've never been given to, especially living in a society that's already demonizing you and not teaching you how to love yourself any damn way because you're queer, how do you expect to give that in a way that is fruitful and life-giving until they meet a nigga like me? Or until they meet niggas like CTV, Reckless Logic, until they meet beautiful women like Hope Giselle and T.S. Madison, until they meet people who had to learn how to love themselves in the midst of it all, They had to. See, again, there is so much we can talk about in reference to the sexual experiences if you just was willing to have the other side come in. But see, what I'm realizing is that when people talk a good game when the gays ain't there, but when the gays pull up, now all of a sudden it's a different type of talking. And now this ideology is growing to where, even again, if you are a person that is consensual, if you are a person that is aware, we're not talking about somebody that's trying to manipulate you. We're not talking about somebody that's trying to lie to you. But we're talking about you've attracted somebody who is aware, honest, and willing to talk with you as well and give you information as well and build with you as well, that even if it's done in a consensual manner, that is still evil. And see, I really wouldn't care if people thought that, but again, with this trauma administration, they're going to try to find a way, or go back, shall I say, to using the Bible in a way to discriminate against queer people, so that for people like myself, we're already demonized. We just heard it this whole entire time. They were saying everything negative about queerness, and again, I can understand because it's their experiences. A lot of them got their heart broken. A lot of them try to do nigga shit because, again, this is a man's world. So a man is, look at the heterosexual community. They do it all the time to get into women's heads, to get into their pants. It's just the man shit is happening in the gay community as well. But again, what happens when you manifest that one person that actually cares about you for who you are, who loves and honors you? And yes, you are also sexually attracted to, because let's be real, unless you're, I forgot which sexual it is, but we all want to be with someone that we find physically and sexually attractive. Let's be real. Pastors talk about it all the time in the pulpit. The church won't, the women in church want men. They want all this type of shit. See, y'all not ready for that conversation. Because the white man don't want you to have that conversation. We got a few more minutes and I'm going to get to y'all comments. Shout out to Keon being in the building. What's going on, Pimpin'? Let's continue.
Absolutely. And that was a bishop that told me, man, I'll never forget. He said, Reg, you know, and I don't mean to be vulgar or what have you, but like, you know, because it started so young, I had just kind of like, I got good at, you know, these sexual acts and stuff, you know. And in my mind, it was never like, I'm finna get him. It was just like, oh, you know, you this close to me, we're cool, or you're showing some kind of attention, you can have this.
This is what you
right.
want.
It wasn't like, I'm gonna take you down. It was more like, oh, well, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of men who gave me attention, this is what they wanted, and so maybe this is what you want, and if it's what you want, you can have it.
Yeah.
Right. But I forgot my point. What was I gonna say?
I'm so glad I ain't the only one to forget my point. No weapon.
Oh yeah, the bishop told me. The bishop said, he He said, Reginald, the way that you make men feel, because they would feel comforted.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be trying to do it. It was just a gift.
Yeah.
They would feel comfortable, you know. And he said, the way you make men feel in a perverted way, God is going to purify it and cause you to do it in a pure way. And that's exactly what we're doing now.
Yeah. Once you submit that gift back to God, you know what I mean? I have people, now I can look at somebody with the gift of discernment that God has given me and speak life. I can give you what you need in a pure way.
Without having to defile you.
Having to defile, without having to, you know, pervert the gift that God has given me. But you got to submit that gift back to God.
Absolutely. Because when sin has you, and Satan has you, it has all of you, including the gifts.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I feel like you don't have to sell your soul to the devil or sign a contract. All you need to do is just stay in sin.
Yeah.
He's got all he needs. He's got all he needs.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That's their opinion. That's their perspective. I appreciate them sharing that. It just continues to give me more information and ways to have more of the gray area conversations, more of the Christ-centered conversations, more loving, affirming conversations. When he was talking about how making men feel, I can speak about my own personal experiences. The times where I gave men the opportunity to be in my space, in my presence, they've always felt safe. You know why? Because I didn't judge them. I could have been in my toxic nature of trying to get something out of this person. But when you actually love yourself, even if you do go down a sexual route or a sexual experience, you'll be able to still do that in a nurturing and a loving way. And on top of that, I've even stated, again, shout out to Say So TV with some of his commentary that I can somewhat understand the gray area of it. You should learn to love yourself, cherish, honor, respect yourself and your body, which means that not everybody gets access to your body. But again, if you can't even be consensual with it and you manifest the individual who actually is a good fit for you, that honors you, that compliments you, organized religion is saying you can't have that even if it is good for you. I can understand not having to fuck niggas. I can understand not having the bullshit ass niggas. I can understand not having the DL niggas. I can understand not having those things because those things are in lower vibratory ways that actually take from people's lives. The lying, the lying, the scheming, the lies. There's all this stuff that's happening. That's more destructive than somebody who is walking in their truth. But gay men need to heal. And no shade, in my own personal opinion, organized religion is not going to heal you. It's going to teach you how to hate yourself, but to how to hate yourself in the name of Jesus. Again, you have Donnie McClurkin, one of the oldest black ex-gay men that I know currently. I know it might be some out there, but I know, who said that God is not going to allow him to have the family that he desires, even though he's been singing year after year, song after song about how good God is, but yet God cannot reward me for being a good and faithful servant. With the family, I've read this book about how God has blessed all these other people, how all these miraculous stuff has happened to everybody else, but can't nothing miraculous happen for me. Well, maybe the reason why the miraculous happens for those people in the book is because they had to get to a place to where they faced the fear. Not put a Bible in front of it or in between you and the fear, but to do the part that is hard and scary as fuck, which is to do like I'm doing right now, to stand there and look fear in the face like it's Michael Jackson in Thriller, bitch. And I already told y'all, for those of y'all who mess with me and know about my content and shit, guess what? I just transcended my fear of Thriller. That's a childhood fear that I have. But you got to stare it in the face. Fear and trembling. You scared in the mug. You shaking and shit. You nervous as hell. Do it, but that's why you need community of people around you, because as much as these individuals are speaking about their queer perspective, which again, that's on them, What about all the other queer children? Let's talk about the children real quick. The queer children who knew who they were or were aware of who they were and was kicked out of their houses by their religious parents and now ended up having to either do one of two things. End up doing something out of survival known as sex work survival, and then organized religion has the privilege to be able to contort and pervert that and demonize that to say that's what you get for being that. But then you have people who also have what is known as houses or gay families where there is a camaraderie there. Because again, when you walk in your truth, whether it's X or whether it is, you're going to lose things on both sides. There's no way you're going to be able to hold on to everything. But this is your life. You get to decide what you want to do. We be so busy worried about the afterlife that we ain't paying attention to what the hell going on right here. Hoping that one day we will be blessed. But I wonder what would happen if the church was to be completely honest. Baby, at this point, the church and the world are one and the same. And if you're going to keep it real, and I'm going to use your context, the difference between church and the world is that at least the world has the balls to be honest. The church don't know nothing about honesty. Which is why they always have to have their Sunday's best. There's no transformative work that works outside the church. And again, if homosexuality is such a powerful energy, if that 1%, if that small percentage is able to rule over all of heterosexuality and be able to put all of heterosexuality at peril, then I think that shows how weak the church is. Maybe it's time for the church to actually walk in Christhood, which means facing the fear. Now, shout out to the host who said that at first he was operating in queerphobia, even though he ain't want to admit it, my nigga, it was queerphobic. Okay, it was queerphobic. But to the point to where you said, I'm even willing to have conversations and talk to them. Well, if you're doing it in the way of Christ or in the way of love, you will bring them in without any sort of expectation. If anything, the only expectation is, I'm willing to see you. I'm willing to hear you. And I'm willing to love on you. I'm going to love you for who you are and who you aren't. And I'm going to let God's source of universe consciousness do whatever that's going to do. Whether that means that your ass ain't going to do this no more, or the fact of you are gay, but you're going to live life in a more holistic way, which means I'm not about to go out. The things that I used to do, I don't do anymore. I'm not going to go to the club and try to find someone to fuck because I'm lonely, because I'm still healing from traumatic experiences that were queerphobic that I've never dealt with. To where I don't put myself in those situations to be tempted. To the point to where when I do go out into the world, even if there is temptation, yes, that ass is fat. Yes, that is whoop-de-whoop is whoop. But I still can control myself. Because let's be real, men look all the time. You can be married. You can still, so now that you're married, you don't find other people attractive. You're not tempted by them either. But see, you also are aware of what you have, so therefore you're not going to fuck up something good for something that's not even guaranteed. That happens in the queer community as well. So again, my purpose is not to try to change those individuals' minds. They have a right to believe what the hell they want to believe, because at the end of the day, BubzDaGawd gonna believe what the hell I believe. I respect that. But when you get to a point to where now you're trying to force queer people into the closet because there is a lot of fear there, insecurity, and yes, in some ways, curiosity there, because men, especially black men, don't have the privilege to be able to experiment and find out what's actually for them so that they can end up in healthy relationships, as opposed to seeing a nigga at the damn mall and be thinking about this nigga beautiful ass eyes for 20 years while he's married at 40. I don't. Okay. Anyway, look at y'all comments. Shout out to y'all being in the building. Y'all was commenting today. Keon says, yo, just getting in, what's up? What's going on? Harold says, I don't understand what that means. Harold says, I'm going to go back and start from the beginning. So is he of the belief that homosexuality is evil or demonic? This type of repression is truly disheartening. He's not free like he thinks he is. And again, this is just our subjective opinion. Again, whatever he got going on in his life, if he ends up responding out of the way of fear of, oh my God, they're right, oh my God, if it starts questioning your faith, then that means there's some more inner work that you have to do. But at the same time, like I said, if he and that individual and the people that are part of that Discord or that group were able to find freedom, and I'm talking about real, true, genuine freedom, then by all means, again, BubzDaGawd is saying, do what's best for you. But when you said that not everybody's story is the same, yes, not everybody's story is the same, and not everybody's transition or next level is going to be the same. Because God, his thoughts is not our thoughts. His ways is not our ways. It's God expressing itself. And there are some of us that are just aware enough to know that. Keon says, if anything, he's putting himself in a potentially worse position, not to mention putting others there. They feel the same way about queer people. So again, there needs to be conversations with the ex-gays and the gays. The heterosexual people sit this one out. This is between the ex-gays and the gays. Y'all can sit there and get y'all popcorn like Michael Jackson and watch. Harold says, yes, not acting on those desires doesn't make them go away or mean they're not there. And it's just an unfortunate life to live, taking up a life with someone, a woman, you're not in love with. Keon says, intimacy, regardless of orientation, is freeing, powerful, healing, and transformative. Nothing wrong at all with wanting safety, comfort, and understanding in someone's arms. No shade. Y'all be too busy trying to be in the master's arm. The master said, bitch, I got somebody else that can be in your arms. Says, girl, I'm trying to help the world. Keon says, this is a part of what it means to be spiritual beings having a natural experience as humans. I agree. Exactly. Harold says, I love your definition of intimacy. Beautifully said, and I agree. But see, because we are queer, because we are gay, even when it's in a consensual way, girl, it's not right. So again, if that's what they think, that's cool. But don't be telling people don't be forcing people to live their life a certain type of way. Oh, well, you gonna go to hell. Well, I guess we gonna see. And if we talking about the Bible, I'll see you there, pimping. You in the line, according to the Bible, according to the thing, according to the scripture, there are over 600 sins. And no sin is greater than the other sin except the sin of blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, if I'm correct, right? So if the wages of sin is death and Christ's death was in vain, then guess what? We will see y'all there. Keon says, much appreciated. Just speaking from both experience and examples, good and bad, of what I've been shown. And Keon says, speaking on it for real, Bubz. Organized religion have a tendency to has a tendency to condemn those that cherry pick scriptures while doing the most picking themselves to move the goalpost or fit their narrative. Because like I said, I think that gay people just need to start saying, okay, y'all, we're going to hell. Because that disarms them, because they're expecting you to defend against hell. But once you start saying, okay, well, yeah, we're going to hell. Yeah, we're going to hell according to the Christian narrative, according to the organized religion narrative, we're going to hell. But guess what? Just like how y'all take that one scripture and don't read for context and nuance, let's read the entire chapter, girl. Let's read the entire book. Again, you're in there too. And there's no way out. Because organized religion made it that way. Shout out to the failsafe. Deshaun says, but that's all it is. It's fear. Meanwhile, all the sins that's going on, like women getting raped and all that other stuff that's going on, getting beat up, shot. Look, women are getting unalived because they found out that their husband is gay and he got the nerve to unalive her. Sean also says because he thinks he can own ownership to her because she doesn't have a choice to leave. I remember the story was with this dude that was sneaking around behind closed doors with another man, and she found out through the phone, and he unalived her and himself. But what I don't understand is how come no one talks about this? what these dudes be doing to women, that they have to face their consequences for whatever that's going on. Keon says, gamer nerd moment. Kratos, are you afraid? Ardius, yes. That is why you should do it. Boy. How come the church is so silent on that? You gotta ask the church. They're too busy worried about the fags. Queen Stevie says, some of the churches will much prefer us to keep our sexuality hidden. Of course. Again, when he used the example of, we know that the organ player, choir director, we know he gay. You ain't never seen him kiss a man. You ain't never see him wear no rainbow shit. You ain't never see him twerk to every praise to our God. Never busting it down in the church. But see, he has a feminine flair about him. He moved his neck and his head like this when he talk. Giving praise to God, everyone. I thank the Lord. Okay, the Lord, he doing all of this. And because he don't have a girlfriend or a wife, that's another telltale sign. I know this. This was the same thing for me. Oh, people in church trying to hook me up with other people. I had one woman at my damn job trying to hook me up with some girl at her church. I'm like, girl, first of all, just because you thinking I'm gay don't mean you can hook me up with somebody. You can't even at least have the decency to hook me up with a bad bitch. You giving me these Rasputia looking ass chicks. These BMI and wig looking ass chicks. Girl, no. But yes, they're forced to hide it. And even when they hide it, you still trying to see what's going on between their legs, because in the church, you want the dick too. There's a bunch of women in the church right now that want the Lord to answer their prayers, to have somebody come in and knock the dust off that yussy, girl. But in Jesus' name, girl, that's the seal of the deal. Just make sure Jesus on it. Queen Stevie also says, did you say going to hell? Come on, y'all. Let's hold hands and all going together. I'll be first one there, naked with my black pumps on. Well, I mean, hell, if we go, we might as well get comfortable. Sean says, but what about these new generation of men that I saw on the videos doing things to each other, even as punishment, forcing two men to kiss, stripping them down? You got a group of men or a group of young kids doing homosexual stuff, playing around each other, forcing other heterosexual boys to kiss each other, doing questionable stuff that I saw on Twitter and Facebook, where a group of boys had a gun in this boy's face and forcing him to strip with no clothes on, none at all. I've seen that. Again, I did a whole live where there were boys that were outside, heterosexual boys, outside of a liquor store, literally rapping about gay sex in the most explicit way. I've never heard Saucy Santana speak that explicit. I've never heard Lil Nas X speak that explicit. Hell, I never heard Lil Kim speak that explicit. They were saying all type of crazy ass shit. Again, in high school, either niggas on the football team and basketball team would run around, grab each other's dick, show each other's dick. I had one motherfucking dude, this white boy named, I'm gonna say his name because it's a white boy. It's a common name. You don't know who I'm talking about. His name is Nick. He was about the same height as me, had a nice build, and had a fat ass booty. And yes, I looked. I ain't gonna never touch, but I'm gonna look. Just like how men look, I'ma look. And that nigga will walk around the locker room, butt booty ass naked, and walked up behind me and said, I'm gonna make you my bitch, in my ear. And I'm thinking to him like, okay, motherfucker, don't play. Because I guarantee you, your legs will be up in the air. And every motherfucking shot I give you is going to be in reference to the ancestors. You got 400 years worth of strokes. You get what I'm saying? But this happens. But like you said, we don't talk about that. Or that's a rite of passage. Or let's just be real. That's the way that you teach boys how to make fun of queer people. How to keep up that toxic way of thinking when it comes down to queerness. And you wonder why some of these niggas who are grown-ass men with no hairlines and 20 months pregnant girl, fuck a 9 girl. They 20 months pregnant girl like a 20 piece, and you wonder why they up here spewing queerphobic shit. Keon says, exactly. All that playing around because the water in the pot is boiling over and he needs to finally release some pent-up truth, then go right back to slander and ignorance. Pause. And no shade. I've even heard from heterosexual men that there are other men that are heterosexual that don't mind doing a little bro shit every once in a while. That don't mind, making sure the bro is good and shit when he doing stuff. They don't mind doing that shit. I saw a video on damn Instagram where this white boy said, man, well, bro, we gotta stop demonizing, stigmatizing bro love, man. I mean, hey, we're just two bros. You need to blow off some steam. You pull your pants down. I do my thing. You pull your pants up, and we move on like nothing's going on. And no shade, since your ass ex-gay too, expose the DL niggas. Do something that works. Do something that's beneficial for the queer community. Cause some of you motherfuckers that's ex-gay girl, I gotta believe y'all was fucking on DL niggas, cause I know y'all don't like no fast, no film. Girl, what the hell am I like? Lord, where's my lighter? I'm a leprechaun. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. From outer space, I walked in to see you and a sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. Bro, I gotta find out what I'm gonna do with my damn locks, girl, because they doing the whole thing on their damn own. And a wise mystic, not a wise mystic, girl, a wise man once said, girl, because this was somebody I used to work at my job when I worked at K&G, girl, with the districts. Never have just one of anything. Never have one of anything, girl. And I roll small joints because I'm trying to conserve my weed. No shit. And I'm sure there's gonna be some people who gonna watch. Oh my God, he smokes weed. Oh, I know he's of the devil. See, I used to do that. That used to be me. Oh, he'll learn. Oh yeah, I'm learning, baby. I'm learning that I don't want to be some of y'all. Because some of y'all just gonna commit to living a lie, and that's all right. Because, girl, you can fool a man all day, every day, but one motherfucker you can't fool is yourself. Otay. Harold says, responding to Queen Stevie, left my ass off. Oh, my God. Don't tempt them folks with a good time. You know they live for the girls according to Grindr Analytics. No shade. Sean said, oh, my. Oh. I don't know. The damn the individuals in the video might be right, because Deshaun ass over here exemplifying all the damn stereotypes, girl. Take a listen. He said, oh my, I'm gonna read it like him. Oh my. You said your legs is gonna be up in the air. The dominant versus the dominant. Oh my God, Bubz, you freaky boy. I ain't said my legs, I said his legs. I'm a real life top. And let's not talk about that because the Christians are listening. They don't know about that, or maybe they do. Sean says, oh, my. The way he's sounding right now when that dude said that to him, I'm going to make you my bitch. And Bubz said, okay, well, I'm going to have you in the air. I told you I'm a leprechaun, bitch. No weapon. Okay. Sean says, I know that dominant dude will be like, oh my, this leprechaun kind of met his match. Hot. And no shade. Let's be real. I'm gonna be in my nigga mode, girl, because they was kind of in their nigga mode too when they was talking about it, girl. We men. You can still, and again, when I say nigga mode, I'm talking about how we all been hypersexualized. Let's talk about it. Let's get it out. That was one white boy that, hell yeah, I wanted to smash, girl. Hell yeah. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 18 years old. This was in high school. And you already walking up behind me, girl, talking about you gonna make me my bitch, and you walk around with that big old motherfucking round bubble butt booty bitch. Okay. When I'm done with your ass, I will have your ass motherfucking making fried chicken, potato salad without the blueberries. You gonna put some Lowry seasoning salt in that shit, and you gonna take me to your family reunion talking about brother on my arm, no brother on your arm. Clock it. Deshaun said he definitely a leprechaun. Lord, I'm about to call you Damon, Deshaun. Who that leprechaun motherfucker? Oh, him? Oh, that's Money Mike. He cool, you know what I'm saying? That nigga look magically delicious, nigga. Come on now. Just don't have me in the bathroom, Deshaun. Have me screaming. Keon says, right. Since we want to talk about deliverance, the truth shall do what? Sean also says, see, but I don't understand. What I don't understand is this is all a program. This is all set in place. This is all about sexuality. They just hate gay people. They don't care about anything else of something that's going on. And like I said, these women just want to have sex with gay men. Oh, girls just want to turn you out. Ain't no one stupid. Because like I said, even on Facebook, they said they like having sex with gay men, but they don't like having sex with bi men. But they don't like having sex with bisexual men, but they have sex with gay men. Make that make sense. You have sex with gay men, but won't have sex with a bisexual man. Because maybe the context is these women feel like they can turn you out because their vagina has been blessed by God, girl. You thought Mary got God's attention, girl? You thought God just skewed up in Mary against Joseph's thing, girl? He was coming after me next. So you got that ill nana. So they try to make it seem like, oh, we can if I can turn a gay man straight, that mean my pussy good. But when it's time for you to trust a nigga in a relationship and you find out he bisexual, now you thinking about the gay nigga. But you want to fuck the gay nigga to try to prove that he not gay. But now your man may be bisexual who want to fuck around on the gay. So you see how there's a lot of all this other shit happening? Deshaun said these women are fucking weird and they don't know what the fuck they want. Why don't you just stay with straight men and leave other men alone? That is gay. Well, I don't know. And those women, stay your ass away from me too, girl. I don't want y'all. What did what's the name say, girl? In the Jackson 5 long ass Thanksgiving movie special that come on all the time on Thanksgiving. Get your shit and get out. I don't want you. One thing that Miss Westname gonna do. One thing she gonna do is she is gonna motherfucker cry. She gonna cry real good on your ass. I'm just saying. But anyway, y'all, I want to thank y'all for joining me. Okay? For this live. I really appreciate it. Y'all are amazing. Excuse my swallowing, girl. When you smoke weed, girl, your mouth get dry. That's why I got all this water over here. Okay? I'm going to read the rest of Deshaun's comments, and then we out. Okay? Deshaun says, what these women do is even if they have sex with a man that experience with a man while cheating on them, they'll say you gay. But it's so weird because don't you like them? Don't you like gay men though? Instead of saying gay, they should have said, are you bisexual? So confusing. They make it confusing. They want to control people's sexuality and also label them. There's people that says there's no such thing as bisexuality. Hell yeah. There was a nigga on the panel, girl, who almost burnt whatever hair follicles he had left on his damn head to tell me, girl, that there's no such thing as you gay or you straight. But let them niggas think that. No shade. Do what you do. But anyway, I want to thank y'all so much for joining me for tonight's live. I was not expecting it to be 3 hours, but I said 3 hours, so I guess we did good. We will be coming back with a part 2 probably sometime this weekend. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or if it's going to be on Sunday, but we're definitely going to be back to finish up the video. And again, shout out to that platform. I'm grateful for these platforms being more open and being honest, and I would ask that queer people would watch these platforms. Like, this is the reality that we're going to have to experience during the next 4 years of this trauma administration. So I think it's best for us to face things that we've already survived and survive them again and be better. You know what I mean? And again, my purpose is not to change any of those men's mind over there, because just like how they're going to stand flat-footed and what they believe is the truth, I'm going to do the same thing for me. But I am willing and able to have conversations with people who are willing to be open-minded, who are willing to transcend fear, even though that's scary, even though that's challenging, even though that's difficult. It is still something that we can do. So I'm just going to do my part to be able to share the information, share my commentary, and hopefully it continues to heal humanity at large. That's my purpose. That's my goal. Keon says, I'm so glad I came, though, for this late and all. That's fine. Shout out to the replay game. Make sure y'all hit that like button and make sure y'all share. So with that being said, shout out to y'all for being here tonight. If you can, please make sure you hit that like button because it helps the channel to grow in the algorithms. We're at 859 on the road to 1K. We kind of plateauing a little bit, but we gonna make it. Shout out to y'all for coming along the journey with me. I really appreciate it. If you like the vibe over here on BubzDaGawd in the way that we think outside the box, with my quirks, with my qualms, with my long ass breakdowns that are just contextual and nuanced responses, girl, I'm sorry. Some of y'all write sentences and some of us write paragraphs. It's not our fault. So that's why some of us got A's. No shade. But if you like the vibe over here, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you can stay up to date with all of my content, whether it's live or edited. If there's anything that I've stated in this commentary that you would like to share or even give a response to, please make sure that you screen record it. Or if you want to use this whole live to give your own dissertation, girl, go ahead and do so. All I ask is that you at me, tag me at BubzDaGawd so I know that it's real. And since we're talking about BubzDaGawd, you can definitely hit that Cash App up. Okay, $ BubzDaGawd. We take everything that jingle and fold, baby. We are trying to improve the quality of this platform. As you can see, I got a few little things here that I'm working on. So y'all help would definitely be much appreciated. Okay, because no shade. I love doing community work, but at the same time, I am also part of community and I deserve to receive things as well, especially with me being in a place in my life where I've given so much to people with reckless abandonment. I've given to people without any sort of boundary or being able to say no. These last 4 years, I've learned how to be no. Just be no. I've learned how to say no and not feel bad about saying no, especially if I know it's benefiting me. And I don't mean it in a narcissistic way or taking things away. It's just the fact of a lot of other people have experienced the love of BubzDaGawd, and I never did because I was too busy, just like those two men were saying, trying to get the attention of men, trying to get the attention of romance, even though it came from a loving, affirming place. And even in a sexual nature, it was still affirming, but still loving and affirming nonetheless, and consensual. But I had to learn how to love me so that when that individual comes along, I will be able to honor him and he will be able to receive the best of me just like I will receive the best of him, because that's how it should be, if you ask me. But anyway, thank y'all so much for joining me. Shout out to Keon in the building who says team paragraph and Bubz out here standing flat-footed on it and all. Love it all. Yep, I'm standing flat-footed and I got my ladder just in case, because if I got to become Jeff Hardy in this mug, I will. Shout out to King Deshaun in the building, okay? Shout out to you. Shout out to King Harold in the building. Shout out to you, Clockhead. Shout out to Queen Stevie in the building. No weapon. Baby, shout out to you. Let me see who else I think we had in here. Going back up. I'll go as far as I can. I think that was everybody. If I missed you, please forgive me. Charge it to my head, not my heart. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for joining me. And just be on the lookout, because like I said, this weekend we're probably going to finish up. Maybe on Sunday, okay, since Lord's Day. Okay, we're going to finish up on part 2. Again, shout out to that platform. Shout out to all of y'all. Shout out to the replay gang. Shout out to those who was in the bushes. You know, just shout out to everybody, okay? And until next time, everybody, y'all enjoy the rest. Where is my shit at? Oh, girl, I got to go back to this thing. I'm like, what's going on? Anyway, shout out to y'all. Make sure that y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. I'll be talking to y'all. Peace.
I can be anything I choose in this round. We are a sound vibration too deep to tell.